I have a mobile phone in my Dantian. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 It's Sudang. Thanks to Cheyenne Feng Yuki for the reward. This is the first reward Danqi received. Princess Beihua felt that the death of Gang Zixi was closely related to these two siblings. Princess Beihua thought and suddenly frowned, flipping her hand and pulling out a golden token. A voice came from the golden token. Have you found out? Princess Beihua even sat up straight. How dare I neglect the matter that the princess entrusted to me? It has been found out that the Ning'an County demon killing hero that Li Xiangai specifically instructed was named Sudang, the leader of Ning'an Fiu. The black wind demon that was causing trouble in the area died in his hands. The voice came from the token. Sudang killed the black wind demon. Princess Beihua blinked. Although the black wind demon was only a Dan-forming demon, it had caused trouble for thousands of years and had a great reputation. Princess Beihua had also heard of it. He was killed. No wonder Li Xiangai was shocked. But then Princess Beihua's heart moved. The Black Wind Demon is a top demon at the Giant stage. If he can kill the Black Wind Demon, then Princess Beihua immediately felt that Sudang was extremely suspicious. She quickly stood up to look for Master Kang Gyang. The woman kneeling below was trembling and dared not speak. She found Master Kang Gyang, but he was practicing. Princess Beihua could not even see him. Practice? You still have the mind to practice now? Princess Beihua gritted her teeth and was very angry. You practice? I will investigate it myself. This Sudang is very suspicious. She didn't know that her husband had seen Sudang and suspected him, but without evidence, it was naturally difficult to kill him. It was just that the order to investigate Yang Yuchen's siblings and Sudang was passed from Princess Beihua's mansion at the first time. In the Su mansion in Ning'an County, Sudang was practicing swordsmanship in the garden. Sudang held a long sword in his hand, and the blade of the long sword was slightly narrow. It was the demon slaying sword that had not been used for a long time. The long sword was waving in Sudang's hand at this moment. Strange knife marks condensed on the blade. The knife marks were like water, condensing in the air and not dispersing, like a crescent moon hanging and solidifying. Suddenly, Sudang swung the long sword in his hand forward. Swish! All the knife marks condensed and the air gathered into an arc, and the arc was like a layer of waves, rippling in the air. Suddenly, the space was wrinkled layer by layer, like water waves. Puff! The Dao mark swept across the artificial lake, easily cutting through the rockery and boulders in the lake in front, extending all the way to nearly 70 meters away before dissipating. Any obstacles encountered in the middle were directly cut and separated all the way, and the sharpness was unstoppable. I didn't use my true energy, just the sword skills to swing the sword. The sword skills are so strong. Is this the sword soul? Sudang smiled and looked down at the long sword in his hand. The ordinary demon slaying sword was covered with a faint shadow. This shadow was almost transparent, like a layer of soul invisible to the naked eye covering the blade. The sword technique that Sudang practiced was another top-notch sword technique called Sword Soul Spectrum that he bought from the ancient martial arts secret book library for nearly 300 spirit essences. It was the one he liked the most among all the top sword techniques. This sword technique was extremely difficult to get started with, but it only required a very high level of comprehension and had no requirements for anything else. After downloading and installing it naturally, Sudang practiced it. It can be said to be a sword technique, but it can also be divided into 3 levels: blade marks, sword heart, and sword soul. The 3 levels correspond to the power of 3 sword techniques. Although the download and installation are complete, I still need to think about and improve this sword technique level with my heart. According to the description in the sword technique, if you really want to comprehend the 3 levels of sword techniques, you will truly have the sword soul. At that time, everything in the world can be a sword, and the world's laws will all retreat. This is the sword soul. Domineering, sharp. The level of the sword mark alone is enough for me. The top sword technique is naturally extraordinary, The first level of sword technique is as powerful as the dream sword. The power is comparable to that of the first level of the true Lord of Transformation. That old guy also gave me a high level sharpening key. Sudong was quite satisfied with this shopping trip. In the evening, after teaching Zheng Dashu to practice, he accompanied his adoptive father Yang and for dinner. Sudong went into the garden again to practice. After all, he had just broken through the realm of Wuzun, and his martial arts also needed to change. In addition, he was practicing the top martial arts of Wuzun, Jidao. He couldn't be careless. At night, the starry sky was dotted. Sudong sat cross-legged, and his body was shrouded in a faint white mist. In the white mist, there was a light spot condensed in front of Sudong, which showed colorful light and shining. It was like a dream. Under the cover of this dreamy light, there were also strange purple lights constantly drawn out from the white mist, gathering in Sudong's Dantian. 9 points and 1 star gathered in the Dantian, floating quietly, and purple lights gathered and condensed into a point. This point was Jidao, the early stage of the extreme way. Connecting the heaven and earth, it evolves into the extreme. What is the extreme? Extremely fast, extremely strong, extremely cold, extremely hot, all extreme. This is my extreme. Sudong's heart was clear, and the extreme way also required a very high level of understanding to comprehend. After downloading and installing, it was just the beginning. One's own extreme way needs to be comprehended by oneself. Enlightenment is boring. About half an hour later, Sudong got up, drew out the demon slaying sword, and began to practice swordsmanship. In the second half of the night, Sudong went to bed. Only by resting enough energy can one better comprehend swordsmanship and martial arts. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Time passed day by day. Since Kang Yang's engine swept the entire Ning'an County, it has been calm. During this period, news came from the capital city that Princess Beihua offered a large reward for clues to the murderer who killed Gang Zizi. It seems that he still refuses to give up. Sudong received the news, but only paid a little attention, and then continued to practice with all his heart. Half a month later, in the mansion of Princess Beihua, in the training room of Master Kang Gyang, a purple lotus sword light instantly broke through the roof of the training room, and the sword light was sharp and soared into the sky. There were bursts of sword sounds. The whole mansion could hear it. Swish. The sword light dissipated and turned into the figure of Master Kang Gyang, who was dressed in a white robe and his handsome face was full of joy. It's done. I finally broke through the middle stage of the spirit transformation, and my sword controlling skills have improved. It's worth my long-term training. He smiled. Once I broke through, I was full of joy. A beautiful figure came from the sky in front of me, with an extraordinary temperament. It was Princess Beihua. Madam, I just came out of retreat and you came. Master Kang Gyang smiled. His smile was full of pride and happiness. Princess Beihua's face was indifferent. I come here every day. It's just that you are in retreat and don't know at all. I'm afraid that the murderer who killed Zia is still at large, and you don't care. Princess Beihua said with a cold face. Murderer. Master Kang Gyang's eyes were cold. Have you found the murderer? How could he forget the revenge for killing his son? Yes. Princess Beihua nodded. Who? It's Sudong, the leader of the flying fish in Ning'an County. Princess Beihua said directly and firmly. Impossible. Hearing this, Master Kang Gyang shook his head decisively. He had seen Sudong, and had specially checked him. Sudong was not a suspect. Why is it impossible? Zia went to Ning'an County just for Sudong. There was a brother and sister next to Zia. The brother and sister were very close to Sudong. When Zia went, the brother and sister disappeared. Besides, I have sent people to check. On the day when Zia got into trouble, the Su mansion had sent a large number of servants. It's okay. Why change servants? With so many things, if he didn't kill Zia, who would it be? Princess Beihua shouted angrily. Master Kang Gyang was immediately shocked. Did Zia go to Ning'an County for Sudong? Did the Su mansion change servants? The scenes of seeing Sudong before appeared in front of him. His eyes were so cold and fearless. He checked the servants in the Su mansion, and they all looked confused. It turned out that it was all a cover-up. It was him? Really him? He was actually deceived by a warrior. Master Kang Yang was furious. Sudong. I must kill you. This Sudang is a hero who killed demons, and Lord Li has also ordered to protect him. You and I can't do it. We must plan carefully. Anyway, we must not let him go. Princess Behar also had a cold murderous look on her face. Chapter 102 The Evil Old Monk. The hatred of killing my son is irreconcilable, and Lord Li is going to stop me? Master Zhang Guiyang looked grim. Others don't stop me, but you don't know what Lord Li does. Princess Behar rolled her eyes at her husband. Master Zhang Guiyang was stunned. Lord Li was famous for his fairness. Yes, if Zia really took the initiative to find Sudang and something happened, it would be considered as trespassing into the residence of an official appointed by the court. The court is extremely strict in protecting officials. If the safety of officials' residences is not protected, who would be willing to work for the court? Now that monsters are rampant outside, the court is in need of people. Sudang has killed big monsters and made great contributions. Monsters are the biggest concern of the court. They are the common enemy of mankind. The court encourages warriors to kill monsters. If they kill monsters, they will be protected. Not to mention Lord Li. He will never hurt the heart of a meritorious official for a royal dandy. It needs to be planned well. Master Zhang Guiyang calmed down. That day, Master Zhang Guiyang left the capital and headed for a deserted temple thousands of miles away. Swish! A sword light fell in front of the temple like a bolt from the blue, revealing the figure of Master Zhang Guiyang. Nenjin Temple. Master Zhang Guiyang looked at the plaque on the top of the temple early in the morning, and walked in with a cold face. It was a deserted temple without a single monk. Master Zhang Guiyang walked in. Fallen leaves covered the stone bricks of the corridor. In the lobby at the front, an old monk was sitting cross-legged, meditating and chanting. Master Zhang Guiyang walked in, and his eyes fell on the old monk, who was wearing a withered yellow cassock, thin, and smelled musty. The old monk stopped chanting, opened his eyes, turned his head, and revealed that extremely hateful, extremely abominable face with scars all over it. Junior brother, why don't you stay in the capital and be your consort, Master Zenjin? Why do you come to my little temple? The old monk said with a smile, but his face was ferocious and scary. In his words, he seemed very dissatisfied with Zenjin Kangguiyang. Zenjin Kangguiyang was not angry. Evil brother, this is the second time we have met since the death of our master. Zenjin Kangguiyang smiled. It's been a long time since we last met. Recently, I heard that you have made further progress in your cultivation. I came here to congratulate you. Zenjin Kangguiyang. You and I are both in the stage of transformation of spirits. Don't you know how difficult this road to cultivation is? If you don't reach the Mahayana stage, you can't talk about great progress. The old monk shook his head. His eyes were as sharp as lightning, and stared at Kangguiyang. There is no need to say these empty words between you and me. Just say it directly, if you have something to say. Zenjin Kangguiyang nodded. I do have something to trouble you, senior brother. The evil old monk sneered, but still said, tell me about it. This Kangguiyang Zenjin is his junior brother, with him he has a deep friendship. The grudges between them are so deep that it is hard for outsiders to imagine. If there is no major matter, Kangguiyang Zenjin will never come to him. Kangguiyang Zenjin said, I will not hide it from you, senior brother. Half a month ago, my third son Zi died in the hands of Sudang, the leader of the flying fish in Ning'an County. He is an official of the court, so it is difficult for me to take action. Although Sudang is a martial artist at the level of Wutong, he has some means. I'm afraid that ordinary martial artists are not his opponents, and Yuanian cultivators are also in trouble. It is not sure to invite a Yuanian cultivator, so it is better to directly invite someone who is sure. Oh. The evil old monk looked up and smiled. This Sudang is not bad. He dared to kill the son of Huashan Zenjin. I like him very much. Hearing that Kangguiyang Zenjin's son had died, he was happy instead. Brother, I know that I was wrong about what master did, but the trend is irreversible. Forget it, I won't say much. Seeing that the old monk looked upset, Master Zhang Guiyang stopped talking and said, I just ask you to help me kill Sudang this time. Beg me? The old monk stared at Master Zhang Guiyang's face. You should look like you're begging someone. Is this how you're begging? As he spoke, he looked at Master Zhang Guiyang's legs. Master Zhang Guiyang's face was filled with anger. He would never kneel down to this old monk. I'm not begging you in vain, brother. As long as you kill Sudan for me, I'm willing to show you the Xiangang sword formation diagram that master left behind. Xiangang sword formation diagram? The old monk's eyes lit up. Master was partial to you and passed this sword formation diagram to you. Are you willing to show it to me? Master Zhang flipped his palm. Suddenly, a jade slip appeared in his palm. As long as you kill Sudan. The old monk was moved. Did Sudan really only kill your third son? You're so angry. TSK. It seems that you like this third son very much. Master Kangayang was silent, but there was murderous intent in his eyes. He was also angry with himself. For the first time, he was deceived by Sudan. I want this sword formation map, but it's not possible. The old monk shook his head. Looking at Master Kangayang's surprised expression, he sneered. Killing court officials in the Jin Dynasty? Once discovered by the court, it is a serious crime. Others are okay, but I can't afford to offend Prime Minister Lee. You should find someone else. The old monk turned around. As soon as he finished speaking, Master Kangayang was choked. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. It's Prime Minister Lee again. So you are afraid of Prime Minister Lee? Humph, don't provoke me. If you weren't afraid of Prime Minister Lee, would you come to beg me? The old monk sneered without turning his head. Prime Minister Lee's reputation is too great. Who among them, who have lived for hundreds of years, is not afraid? He is a terrifying figure who can kill powerful cultivators at any time. Master Kangayang hesitated. But then he flipped through the bag again. He pulled out a storage bag. Add these 200,000 spirit crystals. If you don't go, I'll find someone else. The old monk smiled. He turned around and took the formation diagram and storage bag from Master Kangayang. Okay, I'll help you this time. The old monk stroked the formation diagram jade slip in his hand and smiled. Brother, although Sudong is a warrior, he is extraordinary. Whether it's his body speed or his deep power, he is very strange and powerful. He must have a great opportunity. Don't be careless. Master Kangayang said. Haha, brother, you are looking down on me, your brother. Do you really think I'm old? Can't kill a warrior? The old monk laughed wildly, with a confident look. Don't worry, if I take action, Sudan will not survive. It's better to torture him. If you can capture him alive and hand him over to me, it's better. Master Kangayang's eyes flashed with a cold light. Okay, capture him alive for you first. The old monk was very happy and looked down at the jade slip in his hand. This is Master Xiangang sword diagram. Master despised my background and refused to pass on the sword diagram to me until his death, but now I have it. He muttered to himself, not caring about Master Kangayang beside him. Master Kangayang smiled. When will you leave, brother? This is Sudang's appearance and the address of his Ningban residence. Master Kangayang handed a scroll to the old monk. The old monk took it and put it away. Don't worry, I will leave right away. You are happy. As your senior brother, I can't be inferior to you, your junior brother. Thank you, brother. Master Kangayang clasped his fists, but there was a cold light in his eyes. Sudan, dare to kill my Zia and conceal and deceive me. Don't blame me for being cruel. That evening, a white cloud flew over Ningban County. Above the white cloud, the evil old monk was wearing a withered yellow cassock and carrying a very heavy and simple bronze sword on his back. Behind the white cloud, there was a sword light in the distance, and in the sword light was the face of Master Zhang Yang. He just watched from afar. Firstly, he was worried about his senior brother, and secondly, he wanted to prevent Sudan from using some trick to escape. Chapter 103 Knife Marks. This time, Master Zhang Yang was determined to kill Sudan. In the white clouds, the evil old monk looked at the mansion below. Is this it? The scenery is quite nice. With a sigh, he immediately released his huge spiritual consciousness, completely covering the Su mansion. The huge spiritual consciousness of the immortal cultivator was released, exploring the Su mansion inch by inch. Front yard, backyard, garden. Found it. The eyes of the evil old monk lit up, and a figure suddenly appeared in his spiritual consciousness, and his appearance was exactly the same as the one in the scroll that Zhang Yang gave him. In the Su mansion, Yangan was walking his birds and chatting with the servants. Zheng Dashu was practicing swordsmanship and Sudong was sitting cross-legged in the garden. Just one step, my extreme way, just one step. Sudong pondered hard, just one step, and he could figure it out. His understanding was still extraordinary. Suddenly, a strong spiritual consciousness covered the entire Su mansion. Sudong suddenly came out of his cultivation state, frowned, and looked up into the sky. A cultivator in the spiritualization stage. He had such good eyesight that he could see the figure of the old monk floating in the white clouds in the sky. He stood up, and his heart sank slightly. A cultivator in the spiritualization stage suddenly appeared above his mansion, and his spiritual awareness covered his mansion. He is not a good person. Sudong thought to himself. I can't let him come down. It will be bad if it affects my adoptive father and others. Sudong was worried, and his figure flew directly into the air and flew high into the sky. The evil old monk found Sudong's figure and was about to go down, but then he saw the latter looking up at him. I was discovered. This warrior is extraordinary. The evil old monk's heart moved. He is a cultivator in the spiritualization stage, and his spiritual awareness covers even ordinary nascent soul cultivators. But this warrior actually discovered it. He came directly. The evil old monk then saw Sudong fly into the air. He is worried that I will attack his family. The evil old monk smiled, which was good. Sudong flew up into the air with a faint emanation of true energy around him. He looked at the immortal cultivator in front of him. He was wearing a yellow and moldy cassock with a hideous face and a thin body, but he was full of terrible power. I've never seen this monk before. Sudong was puzzled. The luck compass in Dantian's mobile phone was opened, and the compass pointed to the old monk. Suddenly, a dark and hideous image appeared in the compass. Sin-ridden. It was obvious that this old monk must not be a good person. Sudong? The evil old monk asked. Sudong frowned and looked at the old monk coldly. At the same time, the super sense spread out, sweeping around inch by inch. Check if the old monk has any companions in secret. The evil old monk was very leisurely. The eyes on the hideous face were smiling, looking at Sudong with a nervous look, as if he was facing a great enemy. Are you wondering who I am, where I come from, and why I'm here? The evil old monk smiled. Sudong just looked at him coldly. Haha, you don't have to be so nervous. I have no grudges against you. We have never met in the past. I'm a monk, very ordinary. The evil old monk was not anxious at all. Instead, he chatted and laughed with Sudong. When I was young, my life was very difficult. Fortunately, I was helped by a good teacher, who took me to the Immortal Master's door, and taught me swordsmanship and Taoism. However, I was irritable and often did evil. The master gave me the Dharma name, called Bhikkhu. He said that I had done countless evil, and would suffer for the rest of my life. The old monk recalled. Sudong just looked at him. Of course I respect my master very much. The master taught me and raised me. In my heart, there is no better person in the world than the master. The old monk then sighed. What a pity. I respect the master, work hard to serve the master, and seek the truth wholeheartedly. But the master does not know people well. He values and likes my junior brother very much, and gives him the best things. But in the end, my junior brother betrayed him and killed him. The evil old monk shook his head. Tell me, does my master deserve it? Sudong said, you respect your master, but you still say he deserves it? Haha, I naturally don't respect him later. He's just a fool. The evil old monk laughed. Aren't you surprised why I came to you? Sudong looked at him coldly. I'm curious. I told you before that I have a lucky junior brother. My junior brother betrayed the master and destroyed his ancestors. He really deserves to be killed, but he is quite powerful and very good at doing things. He always gets ahead of me. I want to kill him, but I really don't have the chance. The evil old monk continued. My junior brother has 3 sons, one of whom was killed by you. I'm very grateful to you. It would be better if you could kill all 3 of his sons and let him have no descendants. Zhang Yang's engine. Sudong understood immediately. This evil old monk really came for Gongzix's matter. He came like this, so sure that he killed Gongzixi himself. But Sudong would naturally not admit it. You came here just to thank me. Sudong said coldly. Of course I'm grateful to you for doing what I wanted to do, but my junior brother begged me and paid a high price. It is hard for me to refuse your offer, so I'm here to kill you this time." The evil old monk put his hands together. "Donor Sudang, have a safe journey. In the underworld, please say hello to my foolish master for me." As soon as the voice fell, "This book has been updated recently in .. Update. Wow." Dark purple sword energy burst out from the body of the evil old monk. Nearly 100 sword energies entangled and danced, forming a huge sword formation in an instant. Sudang was in the center of the sword formation. Even his super senses could not spread out of the sword formation range, and everything in the outside world was isolated. Only the sky-high sword energy surrounded him. As soon as the sword formation was activated, the pedestrians in the mansion below and the county city saw that a huge purple formation suddenly appeared in the evening sky. Dark purple sword lights flashed in the formation, which was extremely strange. "It's a cultivator," the pedestrians exclaimed. Yangan, Zengdashu and others in the Su mansion also looked up. The sword formation appeared above their heads. "Where is Donja?" Yangan was worried about Sudang, but there was no sign of Sudang. The evil old monk floating leisurely in the clouds, frowned and looked at Sudang and the sword formation. "My damn junior brother actually told me that you are a martial arts warrior. You are obviously a martial arts warrior. I didn't find out until you fell into my sword formation that your physique is so strong. A warrior, the physique strength can be comparable to that of a monster." How could he know that Sudang had just broken through, and he also blamed Kang Yang's engine for being confused. "Evil old monk, you dare to kill the court official?" Sudang looked at the sword formation coldly, and the devil's eye was activated. He could see the evil old monk outside through the sword formation. The evil old monk smiled apologetically. "Master Su, I have already taken action. I have killed many of these court officials in the past, and you are not a big deal. For my junior brother, you should die." As he said this, the evil old monk raised his hand, and the simple bronze sword behind him suddenly flew out of the sheath with a clang. On the bronze flying sword, a lavender spiritual light flashed, and it flew straight into the sword formation. "Dragon slaying sword, go." Sword control technique. Buzz buzz buzz. The flying sword flew over, and the surrounding air was compressed and vibrated, and the space was trembling under this flying sword. Rushing into the sword formation, a bright purple light suddenly burst out. The purple light tore through the space and stabbed Sudang's chest. Flying sword? Sudang activated his lightning ability at the first time. In his naked eyes, everything became extremely slow, and the flying sword stabbing in front of him also slowed down a lot. Swish. A blue, black, and red light flashed in Sudang's hand, and a slender long sword instantly appeared in his palm. The broken tooth knife, which had been polished by high-level sharpening gas, and sacrificed many magic weapons such as the heavy mountain seal and the refining heart furnace, was unsheathed for the first time. Sudang swung the knife with his right hand. The top-level knife technique in the mortal world, the first knife in the sword soul record. Knife mark. Puff. Or thin golden line visible to the naked eye, swung out like a crescent moon, and collided with the sword light. Clang. The sword light was directly knocked away. There was even a crack on the bronze flying sword. The purple sword formation even turned into a twisted crack under this knife mark. It seemed to be broken. Not good. The face of the evil old monk, who had originally looked determined and confident, changed. While trying his best to control the flying sword, he was roaring in his heart. Wrong, wrong, this is not a warrior. This is more terrifying than a god transforming cultivator. Chapter 104, Battle of the Gods. You old thief Kang Yang, you lied to me. The evil old monk was shocked and angry. He was completely shocked. How could this be a warrior? How could a warrior be so strong? In the past, warriors were compared with immortals. In these two different cultivation paths, warriors have never been as good as immortals. This is common sense. But Sudang is too strong. So strong that it violates the common sense of this world. A warrior, so strong? He didn't know that the martial arts and swordsmanship that Sudang learned were not from this world. Naturally, he was ridiculously strong. This Sudang must have a great opportunity and a great inheritance. A warrior, this swordsmanship. That's all. In today's battle, I have to do my best. He sighed, and the withered yellow cassock on his body suddenly bulged. He stretched out his hands forward. The powerful true energy surged out like a river, and the bronze flying sword fell into his hands. He held the long sword tightly with both hands. Choke. On the flying sword, the sword light suddenly flashed and made a light sound. The body rushed into the sword formation in front like thunder. To deal with a warrior, he actually needed to use all his strength. Since he became a god transforming cultivator, he hadn't used all his strength in a battle for a long time. He didn't expect that today he would have to use all his strength, and he had to face a warrior. Sudang, you should be relieved. The evil old monk rushed directly into the sword formation, which he had arranged. As soon as he rushed in, the sword formation that was trembling because of Sudang's sword suddenly regained stability. The purple sword light split, and each sword light could easily tear the air, distort the space, and stab Sudang. Among these many sword lights, the evil old monk held a long sword, and the sword light flashed and slashed directly at Sudang. Is this the sword control technique of the god transforming level? Sudang felt the terrible power of the sword lights and did not dare to be careless. He used his skills and his body turned into a golden dragon shadow, wrapped in a golden arc, and instantly dodged to the side. Swish. The dragon shadow circled, the arc rushed, and the sword lights could not touch the corner of Sudang's clothes. At the same time, they swung a knife, and the golden knife marks instantly cut through many sword lights. Ding ding ding. Many sword lights were cut by the knife marks. This Sudang broke through the martial master and mastered the ability of lightning, which is a bit troublesome. Fortunately, he fell into my sword formation. The sword technique of the long sword in the hands of the evil old monk suddenly changed. Suddenly, the heavy long sword was swung like a willow branch. The long sword turned into a series of sword light after images. The speed was not weaker than Sudang's ability to use lightning. This evil old monk has experienced hundreds of battles, and his skills are profound and his realm is extremely high. At this moment, he used the sword formation again. With the help of the sword formation, the evil old monk consumed very little spiritual power. Sudang saw it at a glance. While moving at high speed, he swung the tooth-breaking knife in his hand and chopped it towards the wall of the surrounding sword formation. Puff. Daohen tore a gap in the sword formation with one knife. Break this sword formation first. Want to break the formation? Go. The evil old monk manipulated the sword light to make up for the defects of the sword formation. His sword light split into hundreds of them. Each one was flexible and swift, and its power was terrifying and extraordinary. Clang clang clang. Sudang swung his sword again and again. The flying sword of the evil old monk blocked it again and again, and he could even predict the position of Sudang's sword. His eyesight was too terrible. The knife marks and sword lights collided again and again, and there was even a burst of fire between the spiritual power and the true essence. This kind of collision, the power shook the airflow in the air, and the violent airflow leaked out, and the taller trees below were affected, and the trees were broken, and the leaves fell. The taller pavilions collapsed directly. If the battle at the level of incarnation was on the ground, I'm afraid that the entire Su mansion would be destroyed. Your swordsmanship is extraordinary, but it's a pity that it still lacks some skills. Besides, you only have a sword, but I have a flying sword and a sword formation. The evil old monk shouted. Take my dragon-slaying immortal sword. Boom. An arc of purple crescent-shaped sword light suddenly swung out from the hands of the evil old monk. The sword light was like lightning, and the range almost covered half of the sword formation, and it slashed fiercely. If Sudang had not broken through the level of Wuzun, this sword would have killed him. But now the 9 light points and 1 core in his body all burst out with brilliant light, and the light surrounded and penetrated Sudang's limbs. He practiced the top martial arts of Wuzun. Jideo Sudang's eyes were as cold as a knife. The golden true energy suddenly surged and turned into stars. Countless stars gathered in front of Sudang, and suddenly a knife light flashed. Puff. The knife light and the purple sword light collided. The knife mark sank into the sword light, and the sword light was directly shattered, and the knife mark also dissipated. Both were annihilated in an instant. Jideo is the top martial arts of Wuzun. It can quickly improve combat power when you get started in the early stage, especially when you focus on one point. It is even more powerful. When the true energy is focused on the sword technique, the power of the sword technique is instantly improved by several levels. True energy competes with my spiritual power. What kind of martial arts is this? The evil old monk opened his eyes wide. Unbelievable. The martial arts that can kill you. Sudong shouted coldly. Kill me. The evil old monk's eyes flashed with murderous intent. 7 swords of rising dragon. Kill. Boom, boom, boom. This book has been updated recently in .. Update. The evil old monk drew his sword again. This time, his body followed the movement of the sword. Every time he swung the sword, his body rose 10 feet high, and a sword light burst out. When he swung the sword 5 times, his body had climbed another 5 feet high. Then his body changed, holding a bronze long sword, dragging a long sword light, and slashed straight down. No matter how Sudong's figure dodged, the sword light in the sky was always shrouded. Let's see how you can withstand it. The evil old monk's face was ferocious. Sudong's figure turned into a dragon shadow, holding a long sword in his hand, and suddenly soared into the sky. The long sword in his hand was wrapped with golden lightning. This is a sword I created after combining my ability and sword skills. I'll use you to test the sword. Sudong shouted. I saw a series of knife lights slashing out like lightning, and instantly gathered into a terrifying golden lightning knife light, which rushed up and soared. Lightning storm. This is the name Sudong gave to this knife. An instant collision. Swish. The purple light and the lightning light entangled and tore. The lightning knife light carried by Long Eyeing directly tore the sword light of the evil old monk, and the lightning knife arc even flashed past the latter's head. What? The figure of the evil old monk flashed. He stopped and retreated to a distance. He stared at Sudong, who also stopped in the air. His cheeks trembled slightly, and a little abnormal redness suddenly appeared on his face. The power of the knife just now almost injured him. Very good. It's been a long time since it happened. The evil old monk said in a low voice. It's been a long time since anyone has been able to force me to this point. It seems that to kill you, I really have to use all my strength. Boom. The withered yellow cassock on his body was instantly stretched and burst, revealing a rapidly rising piece of burnt black skin. The upper body that was exposed was covered with black scales that extended all the way to the neck. There were protruding black horns on his shoulders, and the heart area on his chest was covered with scarlet crystals. The crystals still emitted light, reflecting on the hideous face of the evil old monk. His eyes emitted a terrifying and strange red light, staring at Sudong. My master doesn't like me. No matter how well I perform, he always dislikes me and guards against me because of the monster blood in my body. Sudong was completely stunned. Monster blood. Humans and monsters marry. Half monster, half human monsters will be born. Some children will die directly, but some will survive. If they are lucky, the human blood will suppress the monsters, and they will look like humans and have better physical fitness. But if they are unlucky, they will be half human, half monster, and extremely terrifying. Half demon, and a half demon who has cultivated to the spirit transformation stage. Sudong's expression changed drastically. Chapter 105. Martial Saint Combat Power. Half demon, born with a body far stronger than humans, plus with successful cultivation, naturally can easily surpass the strength of ordinary immortals. This evil old monk completely released his demon body, and the demonic energy on his body soared into the sky. In order to kill you, I even exposed this secret. The evil old monk spit out scarlet gas, and red light wrapped around his body, emitting terrible demonic fluctuations. The space around him trembled slightly. With a wave of his hand, a scarlet light condensed into a sword seal. It rushed straight to Sudong in the sword formation. Sudong immediately waved his sword to block it, but he only felt a strong force attacking the long sword in his hand. The sword light was mixed with demonic power, and the power instantly increased to a higher level. Sudong's long sword was easily shaken away. The sword light rushed straight towards the mansion below. Not good. Sudong's face changed slightly, and even with the palm technique, a golden dragon shadow swirled out and slapped the sword light. After being blocked by his sword technique, the sword light no longer condensed as before, and this time it dissipated directly. I didn't expect that you are still a monster. Sudong looked at the evil old monk with cold eyes. Monster? Yes, I'm a monster, but I don't eat people. I only kill people. Not only do I kill people, but I also like to torture people to death, so that they die with fear. The evil old monk grinned. Today, you will die in the hands of this monster. Die. The evil old monk's figure turned into a scolloped after image and rushed out. Sword light appeared on the after image. There was also a phantom of a terrifying monster. He was originally fast, and now he was like a ghost. Faster than my lightning ability. Sudong saw it, and his heart sank. He couldn't avoid it, so he could only face it head on. Knife mark. With a thought, Sudong swung his long sword, and the blade drew a golden line in the air. The golden line fell directly on the evil old monk. Puff. The evil old monk swung his hands, that were emitting scarlet light. It directly tore the Deo mark, and the red light of his hands dimmed for a moment. The two were extraordinary in power, and the air collided directly to produce sparks. Too weak, not even enough to tickle me. The evil old monk laughed. Die. You forced me to this point. Not only will you die, but your family and friends will all die. He rushed straight at Sudong like a real monster. Sudong's expression was cold. The sudden explosion of the evil old monk really frightened him. My swordsmanship can't break his demon body, or maybe his hands are harder than his neck. Sudong's mind moved, and he used the swordsmanship of the long sword in his hand to chop out. Swish. Swish. 3 sword lights were swung out at the same time, with 3 golden lines, and the air was directly cut. The 3 swords fell on the neck of the evil old monk at the same time. There was no scale armor on the neck. The evil old monk blocked it frantically. Puff puff puff. A pair of hands were watertight, and the speed was frightening. Slow, too slow. The evil old monk laughed grimly. You are slow and weak. You can't threaten me. How can you fight me? Die. He laughed wildly, wanting to see the fear in Sudong's eyes. The evil old monk exuded demonic power. It spread to the bottom, and some houses collapsed. The power was amazing. But when he looked over, he saw a flash of golden light in Sudong's dark, deep cold eyes. This old monk is indeed quite capable. I thought that relying on him would help me hone my swordsmanship. It seems that it is better to kill him as soon as possible. Sudong thought to himself. Boom. A rising golden airflow suddenly rushed up from Sudong's body. The powerful true essence was like boiling hot water, surging around him. On the entangled golden true essence, each true essence exuded an explosive power fluctuation. Sudong's eyes were cold. Performance mode, start. The original powerful true essence was even more boiling, and raised to a higher level. Both the speed and power suddenly increased several times. In an instant, the whole person felt different. The world in front of him was different. Sudong swung his sword. Extreme. Sword mark. In the performance mode, this swordsmanship and martial arts were completely integrated in an instant, and Sudong's eyes lit up. Extreme Deo. My extreme Deo is a knife that can break everything, an extremely sharp knife. Confused for several days. In a moment of enlightenment. Swish. Sudong slashed with a knife, and the knife marks that were originally just golden lines turned directly into a ripple shape this time, like waves rippling in the water, rippling in the space. The air burned with layers of flames, the clouds burst into lightning, and the deafening sound waves spread out in waves, and the long knife was burning. A knife mark that rippled through the space, with the power to crush the space. Instantly crushed the palm raised by the evil old monk. Puff. The knife mark instantly fell on the chest of the evil old monk. The scales were broken, blood gushed out, and the 2 broken fingers of the evil old monk's hands also flew out. This blade light. Martial saint? The evil old monk was horrified. Impossible. How old are you? Impossible. A warrior can barely be compared to a cultivator in the condensation stage. Wutong corresponds to a cultivator in the formation dun stage, and Wuzong can barely be compared to a Yuanying cultivator. Only a martial saint can kill a cultivator in the transformation god stage. It's just possible. A knife is so terrible, what else can it be but a martial saint? There is no martial saint in the Jin Dynasty. How could he be such a young martial saint? Let me meet him. Martial saint. Even if the martial arts level and martial arts skills in this world are not high enough, it is still valued by cultivators. The court also attaches great importance to it. This book has been updated recently in #@@@. Update. The evil old monk couldn't believe it. The warrior he wanted to kill, such a young warrior, was actually a martial saint. Sudong didn't practice the martial arts of this world, but the top martial arts from the ancient martial arts secret book library. What is the top martial arts? The later it is, the more terrifying the power is. With top-notch swordsmanship and performance mode, it is normal to reach the level of martial saint. Half demon. There are good things about half demon. It is not that the human race cannot accept half demon, but you are murderous and evil by nature. You deserve to be killed. Sudong shouted. He swung his sword again without mercy. Wow. The terrible sword mark passed through the space. This time, Iku wanted to raise his arms to block it. Both arms blocked it. The sword mark fell on his arms. Blocked. Iku old monk was delighted. Puff. The sword mark instantly penetrated his arms, and two thick arms covered with black scales flew out. Iku old monk couldn't help, but screamed in pain. The sword mark did not stop, and fell directly on his chest. The scales on his chest, which was already bloody, burst again. Jideo was enlightened, the swordsmanship was integrated, and the performance mode was increased. The three were superimposed. The combat power was close to the level of the world's top warriors, which was completely the level of the best warrior in the world of Jin Dynasty. Although Sudong reached this level by relying on the performance mode, the evil old monk, a cultivator in the middle stage of the transformation of the spirit, could not bear it. Run. Run. The evil old monk panicked. He dared to be arrogant because he relied on the monster bloodline and the huge overall improvement. But when Sudong showed such strength, he softened immediately. His monster body. It was nothing in front of the knife of this terrible warrior. Damn Zhang Yang, you hurt me, you hurt me. The evil old monk was panicked, angry, and anxious at this moment. He was asked to kill a warrior. How could he be a warrior? This is a martial saint. And the extremely terrifying top martial saint combat power. Don't talk about killing him. It's good to be able to save his life. For so many years, there has never been such a terrible warrior in the history of the Jin Dynasty. One appeared, and he actually met it. The evil old monk turned around, and turned into a scarlet sword light to escape. Boom. A knife pattern shot from the back. Puff. A large piece of the meat on the thigh of the evil old monk was cut off. How cruel. Run. Run quickly. His sword skills are powerful, and his flying speed. Hey, slower than mine. Chapter 106, Chasing. This discovery immediately made the evil old monk happy. He was very happy. I'm a god transforming cultivator, and I'm good at sword control. Of course, I can fly very fast. As he fled, the huge sword formation that enveloped him suddenly lost its spiritual support and dissipated with a bang. The huge sword formation turned into a total of 36 dark purple long swords, which fell straight down. The evil old monk was so focused on escaping that he didn't even care about the flying swords he used to set up the sword formation. He was afraid that he would die if he ran too slowly. In the sky, one red and one gold. Two streams of light quickly passed through most of the county city. Not to mention that this evil old monk was ordered by the true Lord Kangayang to kill me. He is extremely murderous by nature. Since we meet him, of course we have to kill him thoroughly to avoid trouble in the future. Sudong turned into lightning and chased after him. Closer, closer. As Sudong chased, the tip of his right index finger flashed with a 3-inch golden light. The golden light was dazzling, and under the performance mode amplification, it even emitted wisps of golden airflow. As long as I get closer, I will be able to kill him. Sudong chased after him, his eyes flashing with cold light. If you come to kill him, you must be prepared to be killed by him. The old monk in front of him fled frantically. I won't die here. The gaps on his hideous body slowly recovered. The strength of the demon body can give him stronger endurance. That Sudong can't catch up with me. The distance will only get bigger and bigger. The distance is too big. He gave up. The old monk thought to himself and looked back. Huh. Why are you still chasing? The old monk was shocked when he saw Sudong chasing him closely behind him. You chase me, even though you know you can't catch up. Sudong doesn't seem like a fool who does useless work. He must have a way to deal with me. The old monk was sweating profusely. What should I do? What should I do? The old monk was so anxious that his heart was in a mess. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang in his ears. "Brother, fly to my side." He was very familiar with this voice. Junior brother Kangayang? The old monk was angry and happy. He was angry because it was his junior brother who caused him to fall into this situation today, but he was happy because his junior brother still had some conscience and was secretly looking after him. The old monk Iku did not think twice. He turned his direction and rushed towards the direction where Master Kangayang was hiding. At the same time, he secretly transmitted his voice. "Kangayang, you said that Sudan was just a martial arts master, but he is not a martial arts master. Do you want to kill me? How could I know that Sudan was so weird? Last time, he was clearly, humph, I'm too lazy to say more. If you die, you will die because of your greed." Master Kangayang was hiding in a cloud in the distance. He also paid a price. Although the thick clouds blocked the view, he saw the scene of Iku and Sudan fighting clearly. Senior brother lost, even when he used his demon body. Sudan is too scary. Kangayang trembled in his heart. Although he was unwilling, he had to admit that even if he went, the ending would not be much better. Oh no. As soon as I turned and slowed down, Sudan got closer. Iku suddenly transmitted his voice and roared, "Hurry up and use the sword formation to protect me." Master Zhang Yang's face was cold. "Brother, I can't use the sword formation directly. You lead him over here, and we will kill him together." Master Zhang Yang was determined to kill Sudan. Kill him. The old monk Iku was stunned. "Are you sure? If not, immediately use the sword formation to stop him," he said anxiously. Master Zhang Yang sent a message to guarantee. "Don't worry, he will die. Okay, I'll trust you again." Iku used the flying escape technique to turn into a scarlet stream of light and rushed towards the clouds in front. "Sudan, Sudan, chase him, chase him. If you catch up, I'll take your life," he screamed in his heart, and Sudan chased him from behind. The distance was shortened. The 3-inch golden light in Sudan's right hand became stronger. Turning? "Why are you flying over there?" Sudan was also surprised, but the old thief was right in front of him, and he had no time to hesitate. Even if it was a trap, he had the confidence to break through. It looked like the flying knife in Sudan's right hand was about to fly out. The evil old monk was about to fly into the huge cloud. "Do it, do it," he screamed in his voice transmission. Zhang Yang's engine was watching and was about to do it, but suddenly he was startled. It was as if he saw something terrible. Swish! The evil old monk screamed. Unfortunately, his junior brother did not do it, but turned directly in the cloud and instantly turned into a purple sword light and disappeared into the sky. Boom. In the Ningan County city below, with the county governor's mansion as the center, the 4 walls as the structure, and the streets and pavilions as the pillars, a layer of bright white light suddenly burst out. This light was instantly magnified countless times, easily covering the entire county city, and also blocked the way of the evil old monk. County city formation. Even the great demon incarnation dare not break into the formation. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. No. Zhang Yang, I trusted you wrongly. The evil old monk roared. The white spiritual light in front of him was like thousands of spider silks, rolling over him one after another. The evil old monk raised his long sword and swung out sword lights. He struggled, but the white spiritual light was endless and easily bound him. This formation only triggers one level of entanglement. Fortunately, it didn't trigger the real killing formation. The evil old monk was entangled, and he was still grateful. But then, a golden stream of light instantly penetrated the yuanying in his Dantian. Puff. Blood was scattered. The body of the evil old monk trembled. His eyes were fixed on the front. That was. A 3-inch flying knife flashing with golden airflow disappeared into the sky. A flying knife. I'm going to die. Die under a flying knife. The evil old monk's eyes were full of despair. He was a god-transforming cultivator. As long as the yuanying in his body was not destroyed, he would not die, but the flying knife pierced through his yuanying in one knife. The yuanying didn't even have time to leave the body. Iku looked back at Sudan, who was flying slowly, and then looked at the cloud where Kang Yang's engine, who had disappeared, was hiding. At this moment of death, many past memories came to his mind. When he was a child, he was looked at coldly and cursed by people around him. The hardship of learning Taoism after becoming a disciple, the partiality of the master and the cunning of the junior monk. He practiced hard, fought for opportunities, seized by trickery, and killed countless people to get to where he is today. I didn't expect that I would die in the hands of a warrior. He took a last look at Sudong and closed his eyes, but he was shouting in his heart, junior brother, you will die too, you will die. Sudong is only 21 years old, and he still has a long way to go. You are not his opponent, you will die too, you will die. Master, I'm here to accompany you. This time, you won't be partial. Once he died, many thoughts were cut off, and the old monkey Ku died. Once he died, the white spiritual light thread wrapped around his body suddenly dissipated, allowing the body to fall. Sudong waved his hand, and a wisp of golden true energy swept out, collecting the remaining things in the arms of the evil old monk. He watched the body of the evil monk fall to the ground. I actually killed a god-transforming cultivator. At this time, Sudong was slightly moved. The god-transforming cultivator, even in the Jin Dynasty, was a top-notch master, and he was killed just like that. Thanks to this formation blocking it. Sudong looked at the white spiritual light in front of him, and thousands of white spiritual lights quietly drifted away. Sudong looked at it, and suddenly his eyes were slightly fixed. But he saw that a figure slowly condensed in the drifting white light, and the figure stepped on the void and slowly walked out of the white spiritual light. Sudong looked at the figure, as if everything in front of him disappeared. Only the figure walked slowly. The figure was wearing an ordinary robe, wearing a high crown, with a handsome and majestic face. When people saw it, they seemed to feel gentle, as if an ordinary young man, without a wrinkle on his face, stepped on the clouds, and stepped on the sky. The figure looked at him with a smile on his face. Sudong was shocked, and at the same time, he vaguely guessed who the visitor was. In the Jin Dynasty, there was only one person who could appear in the court formation. Chapter 107 Lordly. A look of surprise appeared on Sudong's face. His expression was extremely solemn. He knew that the formations in all the county cities of the Jin Dynasty were set up by one person. The only one who can walk out of the formation is Li Xiangai of the court. Sudong's heart was filled with a huge wave of shock. Li Xiangai, that was a name he had heard more than once, and it was very famous. Whether it was Commander Mo of the Northwest Army or the files of the court, this name was extremely respected. He was the strongest immortal cultivator in the Jin Dynasty. He set up formations in every county city to prevent monsters from entering. He was a strong man who made a huge contribution to the Jin Dynasty. Facing Li Xiangai, even Sudong, who was now much stronger, felt that this smiling young man could easily defeat him. This was intuition. It's terrible. There is obviously no pressure on him, but it gives me such a great pressure in my heart, just like an invisible mountain standing in front of me. Sudong is not a person who is easily overwhelmed. The stronger the pressure, the calmer his state of mind. He had faced many monsters in Black Wind Mountain and survived. He also killed the Black-Winded monster. He was not afraid of the evil cultivator Situluo, the noble Gangzizi, or even the domineering Kang Yang Zenjin and the evil old monk. Fear had never appeared in Sudong's heart. He was just calm, and only calmness could make people sober. But facing the young man in front of him, Sudong found for the first time that he couldn't calm down. Kang Yang Zenjin and the evil old monk were not comparable to the young man in front of him. The gap between them was too big, not only in strength, but also in spirit. Sudong quietly opened the luck compass in Dantian's mobile phone, and the projection of the figure in front of him suddenly appeared on the luck compass. Rich golden light surrounded him, and Sudong couldn't open his eyes. Merit golden light. Such a bright golden light. How much merit must there be to have such a rich golden light? Sudong was shocked. This was the first time he saw a strong man with a golden light of merit, and such a strong man. Sudong's admiration in his heart became even stronger. It was because of such a strong man supporting the court that the people of Jin Dynasty could live a good and healthy life. Monsters did not dare to invade. Very good. Our Jin Dynasty finally has a top warrior. A gentle voice sounded. The surrounding heaven and earth seemed to be echoing his voice. It seems that you have guessed who I am. The young man smiled. I, the Prime Minister of the court, did not discover such a talent. It is my fault. Prime Minister Li spoke. He looked directly at Sudong, without the slightest condescension, only approachable and gentle. Sudong's expression was full of admiration. But before he could salute, Prime Minister Li in front of him continued, "Sudong, are you interested in going with me to the palace in the capital? Someone wants to see you." "See me?" Sudong blinked. Who in the capital would want to see him? But Li Xiangai invited him, and Sudong felt it was difficult to refuse from the bottom of his heart. In fact, with his current strength, he was also in the top category in the Jin Dynasty. If he didn't want to, no one could force him. "I'll tell my family," Sudong said. He nodded happily. "Okay." Li Xiangai smiled and nodded. Sudong suddenly turned into a flash of lightning and rushed to the Su mansion below. After the previous chase, he had already left the Su mansion, so he turned back. Looking at Sudong's back, the gentleness in Li Xiangai's eyes did not dissipate. Instead, there was an extra layer of light. My Jin Dynasty can also produce such a strong warrior. God bless my Jin Dynasty. That Zhangjiang, Iku, is also arrogant and arrogant. He deserves to be killed. He looked down at the body of Iku who fell below, and waved his hand. Suddenly, a ray of white light flashed, and the body of Iku below instantly turned into dust, and disappeared between heaven and earth. A generation of powerful incarnation, directly without a trace of bones. Li Xiangai, he was gentle to good people, but extremely domineering, and strong to enemies. In the Su mansion, Yangon, Zheng Dashu, and a group of servants all looked up at the sky. First, a huge sword formation enveloped the sky, and then golden sword light and lightning came. However, the sword formation covered everything, and they could not see clearly. Later, the aftermath of the spiritual power and true essence above spread to the ground below, and it was like the collapse of the sky and the earth. Then, the sword formation suddenly dispersed, and 36 long swords fell down. Because they were above the Su mansion, they naturally fell into the Su mansion. Then they only saw 2 streams of light in the sky flying away in an instant. After a while, the entire county city was shaken. The entire county city burst into white light, including the Su mansion. Formation. This is the formation set up by the court. Countless county city residents were shocked. They knew that there was a formation set up by the court in the county city, but how many times had it been activated over the long years? Some people have never seen it in their lives. I saw it today. Some people were excited, and some were terrified. Swish, a golden lightning flashed across the sky, and landed in the Su mansion. It turned into Sudong's figure. "It's you, sir." "Donja. Master." The servants all looked over. Yangon and Zheng Dashu even ran to the front. "Donja, did you see that sword formation just now? That kind of power, and the last county city formation were all activated. Is there any monster?" Yangon said excitedly. Sudong smiled. "I came back to tell you about this. It's not a monster. There was a god transforming immortal cultivator who came to our house before, but he was killed by me. It was he who set up the sword formation before. As for the county city formation, I will talk about it later. Father, a big shot invited me to the capital. I'm leaving first. I can't keep that big shot waiting for a long time." Sudong explained everything. He came back to reassure his father and others. Swish. This book has been updated recently in update. After saying that, Sudong turned into lightning and left again. But Yangon was stunned. Just now, was it Donja who was fighting up there? A god transforming cultivator. Donja said that he killed a god transforming cultivator? Stunned, Yangon was stunned. A god transforming cultivator. They couldn't imagine such an existence. Was he killed just like that? Master is really amazing. Only Zheng Dashu had a look of admiration and yearning. Sudong turned into lightning and flew to where Li Xiangai was. Swish. The lightning turned into Sudong's figure. Sorry to have kept Li Xiangai waiting for a long time. No problem. Li Xiangai's smile was still gentle. He stretched out his hand, and suddenly a white light appeared in the air. The white light intertwined into a formation. It condensed under Sudong and his feet. This is. Sudong looked down at the formation under his feet. It's just a teleportation formation. Li Xiangai explained. Teleportation formation? Sudong was surprised. This was the first time he had seen such a formation. He didn't even see how Li Xiang guided it before he set up the formation. Prince Li's attainments in formations are probably extremely terrifying. Su Dong thought to himself. The teleportation formation was set up in an instant. Wow. White light emerged and enveloped Su Dong and Prime Minister Li. Let's go. Prime Minister Li smiled. Su Dong felt his feet lighten. The two figures disappeared directly in the sky. Master Kang Yang, who was thousands of miles away in Ning'an County, turned into a purple sword light and rushed on the road. You're dead, brother, you're dead. Master Kang Yang's face appeared in the sword light, and his face was full of palpitations. If he hadn't seen the opportunity early, he would have stayed there. Su Dong, you are so lucky. Prime Minister Li personally protected you. How can I avenge you? He was determined to kill Su Dong, but when he thought of Prime Minister Li, he was extremely frightened and terrified. That was a mountain he could not cross. Chapter 108 Shifen Pavilion. A flash of white light appeared in front of Su Dong, and his feet felt heavy. The white light dissipated, and Su Dong looked up. He was no longer in the sky before, but a magnificent palace. There were 9 stone pillars with dragon carvings in the palace, each of which was as thick as several people hugging. The whole palace was magnificent and majestic, which opened Su Dong's eyes. In the front of the palace, a burly figure stood there. Su Dong was slightly surprised when he saw this burly figure. It was really that this figure was too burly, more than 2 meters tall, and extremely strong. The robe could not cover the broad bones and muscles. Prime Minister Li. Su Dong had a trace of doubt on his face, and looked at Prime Minister Li next to him. Prime Minister Li smiled. That is the Emperor of our Jin Dynasty. Your Majesty? Su Dong was shocked. The Emperor of the entire Jin Dynasty, managing such a large country, how noble it is. You don't have to be restrained. Warriors are also practitioners. When you and I practice to this level, the hierarchy and rules of the mortal world are nothing. Prime Minister Li smiled and walked forward. After a slight hesitation, Su Dong followed. I was weak before, although I was considered a powerful warrior. In the eyes of the court, I was just an ordinary warrior official. But once I killed a god-transforming cultivator, my status was instantly different. Su Dong understood that in this world, strength is respected. As long as you have enough strength, no one can stop you from dominating a place. In the face of powerful strength, secular power is a joke. Power is just a vassal of the strong. Su Dong followed Prime Minister Li. He walked behind the burly figure. Su Dong looked and saw it clearly. In the void in front of His Majesty the Emperor of Jin, a scroll was unfolded horizontally. Light and shadow flashed in the scroll, but it was a series of images. That is. Su Dong looked at the image in the painting. It was a scene where Su Dong killed Zhao Heng with a knife in the mansion of the county lord of Ping'an County. The scene then turned to Situ Luo manipulating the demon to wreak havoc all over the city. Su Dong, holding a long knife, chased him again and again. He caught up with the Imperial Envoy, and Lord Wang Sen yelled at him. What a pity. There were only pictures, but no sound. Then, it was a scene where Su Dong designed to kill Situ Luo. A golden light flashed in the picture, but the picture did not capture the golden light. What a warrior. His Majesty the Emperor of Jin suddenly shouted. Su Dong glanced slightly, but Prime Minister Li turned his head and chuckled. Su Dong, is that golden light a flying knife? A gentle voice sounded directly in Su Dong's ears. Prime Minister Li was transmitting a message to him. Prime Minister Li also knew that the golden light was a flying knife today when he saw the evil old monk die under the flying knife. Yeah. Su Dong nodded. Awesome. Prime Minister Li sighed. Then, the picture in the scroll turned into the sky of Ning'an County. A huge fairy sedan suddenly appeared in the sky. It was like a floating house, carrying auspicious clouds to the sky above Ning'an County. There were 5 figures on the sedan. It was Gang Zizi and his party. It's Gang Zizi. Su Dong's heart moved. He had never seen this scene before, and he felt uneasy again. He glanced at the Emperor Jin who was watching carefully. Gang Zizi is the nephew of the Emperor Jin. If I kill his nephew, will he avenge Gang Zizi? Su Dong thought, but his heart was calm. With his strength, he was confident that he could protect himself. Only Li Xiangai was a threat, but Su Dong was aware of it. Li Xiangai would not attack him. If Li Xiangai did not distinguish right from wrong, how could he have such merit and golden light on his body? At this moment, the picture in the scroll has reached the scene where Gang Zizi and his party broke into the Su mansion domineeringly, suppressed Yangon, and disagreed with each other. He cast a spell on Sudang, and then, in order to verify whether Sudang was hit, he directly asked the guards to cut off Yangon's arm. Assholes! His Majesty the Emperor of Jin shouted angrily. Sudang was shocked. He didn't expect the Emperor of Jin to react so strongly. Prime Minister Lee turned around and gave Sudang a reassuring smile. Now you can rest assured, the Emperor of Jin hasn't even met Gang Zizi twice. How could he care about him? He's just a playboy from the royal family of the capital city. He can pull a big cart, and many of the emperors of Jin have never seen him. Yeah. Sudang nodded. A smile appeared on his face. He was indeed a little worried before, but the Emperor of Jin's temperament is obviously different from ordinary people. Sudang thought, how could someone who can be an emperor care about relatives? Then, in the picture, Sudang killed Gang Zizi and his group, and saw this scene. Sudang also paid special attention to the expression of the Emperor of Jin, but he saw that the Emperor of Jin's face was full of relief. Good kill. You deserve to be killed, these bastards. Others kill monsters, but you are rampant. You deserve to be killed, bastards. The Emperor of Jin gritted his teeth. When he was a child, he hated monsters the most. He was almost caught by monsters when he was a child. Fortunately, he was rescued by a cultivator. From then on, the Emperor of Jin admired those who killed monsters, no matter if they were warriors, cultivators, or ordinary people. As long as they killed monsters, he admired them. Later, when he became the emperor, he established laws. Those who killed monsters would be rewarded by the Jin Dynasty court. In the past 1,000 years, there have been precedents in the Jin Dynasty where the heroes who killed monsters were framed because they offended the powerful and their families died. Later, the court found out that the Emperor of Jin directly ordered the execution of the powerful and their families to bury the heroes who killed monsters. Resolute. Killing monsters is for the sake of the human race itself. Every person who kills monsters is a hero and the guardian of the human race. If the court can't even protect these people, what kind of court is it? The most resolute means for Prime Minister Lee to govern the country is to protect the heroes who killed monsters. If anyone in the court dares to harm the heroes who killed monsters for no reason and harms their families, they will be killed without mercy. This is the iron-blooded hand. Therefore, warriors in the Jin Dynasty worked hard to kill monsters. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. Sudang also respected the court for this reason, otherwise he would not have been a flying fish catcher. The scene turned again, and it was Kang Yang Zhenjin who appeared in the Su mansion, and then he also took action directly. The Jin Emperor's face turned pale. Then, the evil old monk arrived, and a battle took place in the sky above the county city. From beginning to end, as long as there were Sudang and the immortal cultivators in the county city, every scene was recorded. Don't be too surprised. The county city formation can monitor the spiritual power of monsters and immortal cultivators. Only when the immortal cultivators take action will it be recorded, Li Xiangai told Sudang through voice transmission. Sudang suddenly realized. No wonder they are all scenes in the county city. There are also immortal cultivators. I was worried that my secret would be exposed. Fortunately, it was just monitoring the immortal cultivators. Sudang said in his heart. His cultivation is different from others. The secret of the mobile phone in his Dantian cannot be leaked. The impact is too great. The video in the scroll ended. Swish. The Emperor of Jin waved his hand, put away the scroll, turned his head, and revealed his rather honest face, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, and his innocence was stronger than his majesty. He looked at Sudang. Sudang, I won't say anything extra. You are good at killing monsters and eliminating demons. Are you willing to enter our Shifen Pavilion and serve as a venerable? Shifen Pavilion? Sudang was stunned. What is this place? Seeing Sudang's puzzled expression, the Emperor of Jin looked at Prime Minister Lee. Prime Minister, Your Majesty, I haven't had time to tell you yet. Prime Minister Lee shook his head. The Emperor of Jin suddenly realized. I'm anxious. Sudang, I will personally tell you what this Shifen Pavilion is. Sudang listened immediately. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, Venerable Sudang. Thanks to the Star Domain God Clan for the 1000 starting coins reward, and thank you all for your recommendation and collection. Your support is the greatest affirmation and encouragement to Danki. The Emperor of Jin looked at Sudang, and was very satisfied and valued him. The human race itself was weak, and it was because there were batches of such young people who stood up to kill monsters and fight against crises that we have the world we have today. Humanity can continue to grow stronger because there are a steady stream of young strong men and fresh blood. So he explained to Sudang in person. Shifen Pavilion was established 500 years ago by our Jin Dynasty ancestors. All immortal cultivators who have cultivated beyond the stage of transformation can join Shifen Pavilion. Shifen Pavilion does not have too many restrictions. Here, it is mainly for the purpose of combining, fight against monsters together and help each other. And all the civil and military officials of my Jin Dynasty must listen to the orders of the true Lord of Shifen Pavilion. Of course, if you join Shifen Pavilion, others will call you Venerable. The Emperor of Jin showed a simple smile on his face. There are a total of 36 spirit transforming cultivators in our Shifen Pavilion. If you join, you will be the first one to join as a martial artist and martial master. Sudang was surprised. Shifen Pavilion, there are no warriors? Logically speaking, there should be no fewer martial masters in the Jin Dynasty. But Prime Minister Li and the Emperor of Jin shook their heads at the same time. No. In the entire Jin Dynasty, warriors who can become martial masters have also become some commanders, and there are many masters in the sects within the territory of the Jin Dynasty, and they also protect a sect, but I have never heard of a record of a master who can kill a spirit transforming cultivator. Prime Minister Li said. Sudang suddenly realized. He understood why he was so special. Even the Emperor of Jin and Prime Minister Li looked at him with new eyes. It seems that a warrior who wants to join Shifen Pavilion must be at the level of martial saint in theory, but there is no martial saint in the Jin Dynasty. So, I, the martial master who killed a spirit transforming cultivator, will become the first master of Shifen Pavilion. Sudang thought to himself. And there are only 36 immortal masters in the entire Jin Dynasty. The evil old monkey killed certainly doesn't count. After pausing for a moment, the Emperor of Jin continued to explain the matter of Shifen Pavilion. In my Jin Dynasty, it is considered good. We have Prime Minister Li who has worked tirelessly for our Jin Dynasty and spent a lot of money to set up formations in various county towns so that monsters dare not offend easily. In the past, all the immortal masters of the Shifen Pavilion guarded a county, but even so, there were still counties and towns attacked by monsters. No matter how powerful the immortal masters of the Shifen Pavilion were, they could not take care of everything. The Emperor of Jin sighed. Therefore, the more powerful people there are in the Shifen Pavilion, the better, so that the people of the world can live in peace and avoid the harm of monsters. Sudang also nodded when he heard this and looked at Prime Minister Li with reverence. Prime Minister Li's contribution to the human race is truly immeasurable. Sudang said sincerely, you are also very good. You have killed the cunning old monster like the Black Wind monster. I wanted to attack it, but as soon as I appeared around the Taizhou Mountains, it found out and ran away. Prime Minister Li shook his head. The spiritual power of the immortal cultivator is like a bright light in the dark night. It is too conspicuous. Sudang nodded slightly. I'm a warrior, so ordinary monsters don't take it seriously. So, the Black Wind monster was killed by him. Yes. The Jin Emperor showed a cunning smile on his honest face. Monsters care more about immortal cultivators than warriors. Sudang is a great killer when they are caught off guard. Shifen Pavilion not only fights against monsters, but also guards against neighboring countries. Like our Jin Dynasty, there was a Mahayana ancestor who founded the country. It was very difficult at the beginning of the founding of the country, thanks to the support of the Immortal Alliance behind it, but the Immortal Alliance cannot completely protect it. It still has to rely on itself. The Jin Emperor sighed. His expression became serious, as if he recalled the glorious years in the past. What is the Immortal Alliance? Sudong was stunned and asked. The world is divided into 4 oceans and 3 lands. There are 3 major courts on the 3 lands, namely Jin Dynasty, Wei Dynasty and Wu Dynasty across the ocean. The 3 continents are ruled by the courts, and the oceans are occupied by overseas immortal cultivators. There are good and bad immortal cultivators, so there are evil cultivators and righteous cultivators. The righteous cultivators combine to fight against the evil cultivators, and then there is the Immortal Alliance. Li Xiangai explained. Most of the immortal cultivation methods in the world are spread by the Immortal Alliance. And on the 3 continents, the courts are not all controlled by righteous cultivators. For example, Wei is ruled by evil cultivators, Wu is often bullied by Wei, and some small countries are also bullied. The Immortal Alliance wants to uphold justice, but Wei has a big evil cultivator force behind it. The Jin Emperor shook his head. In the past, they also bullied Jin Dynasty because they suspected that there were powerful immortal cultivators who were threatening them in Jin Dynasty, which would threaten the balance and stability of the 3 countries. Later, they stopped coming to Jin Dynasty. The Jin Emperor sneered. Why? Sudong was puzzled. However, he already had a very bad impression of the Wei Kingdom. It was a country ruled by evil cultivators. The Emperor of Jin looked at Li Xiangai, who still had a gentle smile on his face. Sudong looked at the 2 of them in confusion. The Emperor of Jin smiled and said, because Jin Dynasty really has a god-transforming cultivator who is a threat to them and can intimidate them. He is an absolutely invincible god-transforming cultivator under the Mahayana ancestor. He looked at Li Xiangai. The person he was referring to was self-evident. Li Xiangai? Sudong's eyes lit up. Li Xiangai smiled and shook his head. I'm only better at formations. I set up a trap and killed more than a dozen of their late-stage god-transforming evil cultivators at once, but who knew they would be afraid? Li Xiangai looked innocent. His smile was still gentle. Damn. Sudong sighed in his heart, so pretentious. But he was qualified to pretend. The entire Jin Dynasty now has only 36 god-transforming cultivators, and Li Xiangai killed more than a dozen of Wei Dynasty at once. How could Wei Dynasty not be afraid? Under the Mahayana, there is absolutely no one who can defeat them. This is the confidence of Li Xiangai to protect the Jin Dynasty. Without Li Xiangai, they would come and bully us with an excuse. With Li Xiangai, killing them would be a piece of cake. This is strength. If the Mahayana cultivators are used, the Immortal Alliance can no longer sit idly by. Moreover, Mahayana cultivators are very cautious and generally will not take action. Therefore, the Divine Transformation cultivators are the core combat force. If our Jin Dynasty wants to be strong and our people want peace, we can only rely on ourselves. The Immortal Alliance can only be an auxiliary. To put it bluntly, our confidence is the 10 Directions Pavilion. Sudong, you won't be unwilling to join, right? This book was recently updated in #@. Update. The Emperor of Jin looked at Sudong and asked. Of course I'm willing. Sudong responded directly without any hesitation. Demons are in power and evil cultivators are a disaster. These 2 simple sentences, people who have not really experienced it, can't understand what this means at all. He came down from Black Wind Mountain. That place is hell. Human hell. He has also seen a lot of torture and fear. Eating and killing people there is nothing. So no matter when and where or where you come from, as long as you are a human being, you can't just sit back and watch monsters cause trouble. As long as there is a trace of manly blood in your body, you must kill monsters and eliminate them. Evil cultivators? Like Situluo, a cultivator who does whatever it takes to achieve his goals, extremely selfish and extremely unkind, is a scourge to everyone and must be eliminated when you meet him. At the beginning, Situluo attacked him directly. If he didn't have the strength, he would have died long ago. Joining the 10 Directions Pavilion, he will not retreat. Li Xiangai and Jin Huang both laughed. What am I talking about? Sudong went to Black Wind Mountain alone to kill the Black Wind Old monster. How could he be a person who is afraid of death and fears monsters? That evil cultivator has been causing trouble for Ning'an County again and again, and Wang Se has protected him. He would rather go out to stop him night after night than retreat, and he still cares about my court. How could he be a selfish person? Li Xiangai laughed. Li Xiangai, how can you even say what we said in private? Jin Huang's honest face wrinkled with fat. Haha. Prime Minister Li laughed. Su Dong also smiled. This Jin Emperor really didn't have any airs of an emperor. It was also true that when their strength reached their level, power could not be restrained at all. Don't listen to him, Su Dong. I will now take you to join my Shifen Pavilion and become the 37th member of Shifen Pavilion. Jin Emperor glared at Prime Minister Li and then looked at Su Dong and said. He flipped his palm and a strange golden order appeared with a word Jin engraved on it. On the back was Su Dong's name. Obviously it was prepared long ago. Venerable Su, I hope you and I can fight side by side in the future and kill monsters together. Jin Emperor smiled and handed the token to Su Dong. Su Dong took the token seriously. Okay, kill monsters and eliminate monsters. Su Dong will never retreat. End of this volume. I have finished writing the second volume. Many book friends said that Danki has no outline. How could it be possible? There is no hammer without an outline. Danki's writing ability is indeed limited. It can be said to be very poor, and there are some places that cannot be written in a comprehensive manner. I'm not satisfied with what I have written to satisfy you all, but no matter what, Danki will redouble her efforts to write well and continue to write, not for anything else, but because of your support, because of you. This novel has a continued and blooming life. Finally, thank you to those who recommend this novel every day, collect it, and reward Danki. Thank you. Tomorrow we'll start the third volume, The Road to the God of War. Chapter 110, The Road to the Martial God. After receiving the Golden Order, Su Dong's true essence automatically penetrated the Golden Order, and he immediately felt a faint induction coming from his side. That was the induction of the Golden Order on the body of Emperor Jin and Prime Minister Li. Joining the 10 Directions Pavilion means helping each other and killing monsters together, so you can also communicate with each other to locate each other and ask for help from each other. Of course, you can turn off this function at any time. Prime Minister Li explained with a smile. No need to turn it off. It's good to take care of each other. Su Dong put away the Golden Order. Emperor Jin flipped his hand again, and a light blue light flashed in his hand, and a red jade suddenly appeared. Su Dong looked at the jade. The jade exuded a faint spiritual power, which was almost ordinary, but after careful sensing, he felt that the faint spiritual power contained an unfathomable power, which seemed to be far more powerful than the power and momentum of the immortal cultivator. Su Dong, this is the first time we meet, and this Kixen stone is given to you. Emperor Jin smiled. Whoosh. The red jade flew directly into Su Dong's hand. Kixen stone. Su Dong stroked the jade in his hand. Don't underestimate this jade. How many ordinary people have fought for it, all for a little chance of becoming an immortal? Of course, there are many spiritual objects that can bring immortality to warriors, but in the entire Jin Dynasty, there is absolutely no better effect than this Kixen stone of mine. The Jin Emperor said. His reward is naturally the best. Su Dong looked at the jade in his hand with surprise. Is this the chance of becoming an immortal that can allow ordinary people to cultivate immortality? Of course, you have come all the way to this point as a warrior. Whether to use it or not, and how to use it, is up to you. The Jin Emperor was very free and easy. Thank you, Your Majesty. Many thoughts flashed through Su Dong's mind. He put away the Kixen stone and bowed to the Jin Emperor. In the Jin Emperor's palace, Su Dong and Prime Minister Li walked in the spacious and imposing corridor. Prime Minister Li had a gentle smile on his face. Su Dong, you are the most talented warrior I have ever seen. Although the ultimate pursuit of us practitioners is immortality and freedom in this world, I still have to say that the path of a warrior is not as simple as people think. Li Xiangai said solemnly. Su Dong listened carefully as he walked. Although he did not learn the martial arts of this world, as a warrior, he could truly understand that, as long as he had good martial arts and skills, the path of a warrior was no worse than that of a cultivator. For warriors, it is easy to get started, and the threshold is extremely low, which also leads to a large number of warriors. However, the further you go, the more difficult it is for warriors to make progress. Like martial honored ones, how many martial honored ones are there in the Jin Dynasty? Compared with the vast number of warriors, they are much fewer. There is even no martial saint. As in the legend, the martial god who shattered the void is a legend all over the world. The difficulty and the disproportionate rewards lead to people's misunderstanding of warriors. There are few immortal cultivators, but compared with warriors, before the spirit transformation stage, immortal cultivators have practiced extremely smoothly all the way, because they follow the way of heaven, and comprehend the rules of heaven and earth. The rules of heaven and earth love them, allowing immortal cultivators to transcend the mundane world and delay their lifespans. But after the spirit transformation stage, when they reach the Mahayana stage, there are no rules to love. The so-called immortality is naturally beyond the common sense of the rules of heaven and earth. You say, how can the rules of heaven and earth allow it? Therefore, immortal cultivators in the Mahayana stage will encounter disasters and difficulties. But warriors are different. Martial gods can break the void. Theoretically, they are absolutely beyond this world and naturally are not subject to the lifespan limit and the 6 reincarnations. Prime Minister Lee made a comparative explanation. He shared his feelings and insights with Sudong. Sudong listened carefully. This was the first time he heard that a Mahayana cultivator would have a disaster. Could it be the legendary heavenly disaster? Cultivators cultivate the Tao, and they also comprehend and borrow the heavenly Tao. Martial artists cultivate themselves, and what they ultimately gain is an immortal self. However, the heavenly Tao favors cultivators, so before cultivators become gods, they can be said to be smooth sailing, and they are even rewarded with lifespan. But warriors are different. For warriors, the lifespan limit is 100 years, and there is no lifespan reward for elm improvement. How difficult it is to reach the level of martial god in 100 years. It is almost impossible. Therefore, there are many warriors, but martial gods are just legends. Almost all those who walk on this road have died. Cultivators practice and practice, and their lifespans increase greatly. It seems that cultivators are one step higher than warriors. In fact, immortality is the ultimate pursuit, and it is not easy. Sudong, you are different. You are only 21 years old now. At 21 years old, you have reached this level. And I can see that the martial arts you have learned are top notch, far higher than all the martial arts I know. Don't be surprised, I have also learned martial arts. Among my 6 disciples, 4 are martial masters. Li Xiangai said, and suddenly saw Sudong's surprised expression, and smiled and explained, but they are all very old. The oldest one is even over 100 years old. They took spiritual essence to increase their lifespan. In this life, it is almost hopeless to become a martial saint. Sudong was surprised by Li Xiangai's vision. He was even more surprised that the latter had learned martial arts. You are different. You have great hope. You can become a martial saint. Who knows, you can even walk on the road of martial god. We practitioners are always pursuing. Since we want to pursue, we naturally have to set our goals farther. For the road of warriors, martial god is the ultimate goal. Li Xiangai cheered Sudong up. He always felt that the road of warriors was extraordinary. At least, it should not be lower than the road of cultivating immortals. This is his opinion as an absolutely invincible cultivator of the spirit transformation realm below the Mahayana. This was the first time Sudong heard such remarks, and it was from Li Xiangai. In the past, he thought he was stubborn, even short-sighted, so he decided to be a warrior. But today, he heard that Li Xiangai thought so. Yes, warriors are also the ultimate way to longevity and freedom. Sudong nodded firmly. It was because of his love for martial arts that he could reach this point. He never wavered in this idea. Martial god. This is his ultimate pursuit. The path of a warrior is very difficult, but you have hope. No matter what you choose, it's your own business. Here is a little thing, and I'll give it to you. Li Xiangai slipped a storage bag from his sleeve and handed it directly to Sudong. Sudong was about to see what the little thing was, but Li Xiangai raised his hand to stop him. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. Go back and read it. He smiled. Our Jin Dynasty has a vast territory, and there is also a secret realm called Zenshin Secret Realm. Although monsters also explore it, our court has also occupied an entrance. You can go and explore it when you have time. With your strength, you will definitely have no worries about protecting yourself. The rules of heaven and earth in the secret realm are disordered. Mahayana cultivators will lose some of their power if they enter, so they naturally dare not take risks. This is the location of the secret realm. Li Xiangai took out a white jade pendant again and handed it to Sudan. Mahayana cultivators dare not enter, but the Huashan cultivators occupy it, and Yuanian cultivators are not qualified. It is naturally very safe. He also reminded, there are 3 entrances to Zenshin's secret realm, one of which is a triangular entrance. You must not rush in. If you go in, you will definitely die. You must remember this. Li Xiangai looked solemn. I won't rush in. Sudan nodded. Facing Li Xiangai, Sudan felt that he was indeed a little naive. He was indeed naive. After all, Li Xiangai was a senior who had lived for more than 100 years. Above Ning'an County, a white light flashed, and a complex formation emerged. A figure suddenly walked out of the formation, and then the formation dissipated. The one who walked out was naturally Sudan. Prime Minister Li is so thoughtful that he sent me back. Sudan chuckled, and then opened the storage bag in his hand. Let's see what little thing Li Xiangai gave him. As soon as the storage bag was opened, a surge of spiritual energy suddenly surged out, and Sudan was instantly shocked. The spiritual energy condensed in the air, and condensed into lines of words. Your path as a warrior is not easy to walk. I will give you a 2nd grade spiritual essence body jade core. Taking it can increase your lifespan by 200 years. Swish, the wind blew, and the characters were scattered with the wind, but Sudan was stunned. He lowered his head and looked at a purple gold flower core in the storage bag. This is not a little thing. Let me come back to see it. Are you afraid that I won't accept it? Sudan's heart suddenly rose with a warm current. He remembered Li Xiangai's kindness firmly in his heart. Chapter 111 Body Jade Core. Back then, Wang Se was willing to go bankrupt in exchange for a 5th grade spiritual essence, the golden ring Anaderma. The most important treasure of the Black Wind Demon was also the golden ring Anaderma. It was so precious. The value of spiritual essence cannot be measured by quantity. No matter how many 9th grade spiritual rice there are, they are not as good as a 2nd grade spiritual essence, because the effects are different and cannot be compared. But at this moment, Li Xiangai directly gave him a small thing. It was a 2nd grade spiritual essence body jade core, which could increase his lifespan by 200 years. The warrior's lifespan is 100 years. After taking the spiritual essence, he can live to 300 years old. A body jade core can instantly raise Sudan's lifespan to the top. It's just a small thing. I don't believe that Li Xiangai really doesn't care about this 2nd grade spiritual essence. Who would think that there are too many spiritual essences? Sudan was grateful in his heart. The two of them didn't have any friendship, and Li Xiangai didn't owe him anything. He just hoped that he could go further on the road of warriors, so he gave it to him directly. This is a favor. Why is there such a strong golden light of merit on Li Xiangai? Why is Li Xiangai's prestige unique throughout the Jin Dynasty? Even His Majesty the Emperor of Jin is on good terms with Li Xiangai, without any dignity. It is not only because of Li Xiangai's strength, but also because of the latter's courage and selflessness. Sudan put away the body jade core, bowed in the direction of the capital, and then flew towards a Su mansion. On this day, the entire Ning'an County was very lively and boiling, because the county city formation, that had not been activated for hundreds of years and only knew to exist, was activated. The sky was full of white light, and the power was vast. That's why I'm willing to sell everything I have to live in the county city. Did you see that? That formation, that power. What kind of monster dares to come in? Even if the sky falls, it can stop it. You only saw the formation. Didn't you see the sword formation above the Su mansion earlier? And the monster? Monster? What happened to that monster? What else can it be? It was killed. Who can kill such a powerful monster? It's naturally the leader of the flying fish, Lord Su. Didn't you see a golden lightning? Yes, there is also a dragon shadow, that is Lord Su. Lord Su's cultivation is more powerful than that of immortals. He has long surpassed us mortals. The people talked about it. How could they know the difference between the strong? They only felt that it was far beyond their cognition, that is, the immortals and the extraordinary. But they knew that it was Sudan who killed the monster. The imperial guards of the entire county city were very busy because the governor of Ningen County had just been dismissed and the new governor had not yet arrived, and many county lords didn't know how to deal with it. They came to the Su mansion to look for Sudong, but Sudong was nowhere to be found. They could only stabilize the people first. On that day, an even more shocking news had been passed to the King of Kings How. Many officials in the state, wealthy families, and major sects. A chiffon pavilion venerable appeared in Ningen County. That's right, not a true lord. It's a venerable. At the same time, the news that Sudong killed the true lord Huashan also spread to all the big families in the Jin Dynasty. Martial Lord killed the true Lord Huashan? In a sect of immortal cultivation, the leader of the sect, the immortal Huashan, couldn't believe it. Impossible. It must be a trap, or that martial lord used some despicable means. The immortals who cultivated the gods didn't believe it. How could a mere martial lord warrior kill them? The immortals who cultivated the gods. They didn't want to believe it, and they didn't dare to believe it. In the Chiffon Pavilion, the 36 true lords of Huashan, except for the Emperor of Jin and Prime Minister Li, also got the news, but they didn't see the record of Sudong's battle with the evil old monk. Naturally, they felt it was even more outrageous. Who introduced him to join our Chiffon Pavilion? What qualifications does a martial lord have? What? The Emperor of Jin personally introduced him? Is he some royal relative? Oh. Prime Minister Li took him to see the Emperor of Jin. Suddenly, no one doubted it. No one in the Chiffon Pavilion dared to question Prime Minister Li's fairness. However, this does not mean that they are convinced by Sudong. A martial lord. Who knows, he may not be killed by monsters, but by of old age first. They look down on warriors at all. But there are people who look up to them and are afraid and worried. That is the county governors and sect forces surrounding Ningen County in Kings How. That Ningen County actually has a Chiffon Pavilion venerable. For the sake of this venerable's face, the state king will definitely give the control of several surrounding counties to this venerable. The state king is a hereditary title, but the Chiffon Pavilion venerable is above the court system, maintaining the peace of the Jin Dynasty and guarding one side against monsters and evil cultivators is the real power. A venerable is in a territory, but you, a state king, are giving orders. How can this be? Therefore, no matter whether it is a true lord or a venerable, the state king must give up power. This is a face issue. Then we will have to act according to the face of this venerable in the future. The governor of Zishan County looked worried. Zishan County is next to Ningen County. I just hope that this venerable can be served better. I heard that this venerable is not very old, only in his 20s. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. Ah, that's it. In his 20s, young people have bad tempers and they meet someone with a weird personality. It's over. You and I will have a hard time in the future. The governors of several surrounding counties murmured in their hearts. They quickly prepared a generous gift and sent their most capable people to deliver it to the Su mansion. Zhang Zhen, the King of Kings How, also prepared a generous gift as soon as possible. He also took out half of his own state king guards and gave it to Sudong. This Sudong is not a cultivator, so he must value worldly power and enjoyment more. I'm afraid he's difficult to serve. Although I'm the King of Kings How, I only inherited my father's title, and I'm a king of a different surname. In the eyes of this venerable, I'm afraid I'm nothing. In terms of strength, there is not a single god transforming cultivator in the Kings How Palace. But they have killed even god transforming monsters. In terms of power, the true lord of Chiffon Pavilion is completely above the court system. It is precisely because of this understanding that he lowers his posture even more. If you are not strong enough, you should be more low-key. This is the way Zhang Zhen has figured out after being a king for so many years. At least, courtesy is not a problem. No matter which force it is, they all know that the Ningen County Su mansion will surely rise rapidly. In the future, within the scope of Ningen County, at least for hundreds of years, the Su mansion will be the only overlord. The prosperity of the Su mansion is inevitable, and the rise of Sudong is inevitable. There is one person who is the most unhappy. That is the elder sister of His Majesty the Emperor of Jin, Princess Beihua. In the princess's mansion, Princess Beha was furious and smashed all the jewelry and ornaments in the two pavilions to pieces, almost demolishing the pavilions. Unfair, unfair, God is unfair. The murderer who killed my son should be executed on the spot and his entire family should be executed. Princess Beha roared. This is all your royal brother's idea, who can you blame? Master Kangayang had a gloomy face. He felt the worst. He spent a lot of money, but still couldn't kill Sudong, and even his senior brother died. Prince Li and Emperor Jin didn't say anything to me, because my son is really dead, and my senior brother is really dead. Sudong is fine. Master Kangayang's face was burning and burning. When had he suffered such a big loss? It's all Sudong. Sudong. He gritted his teeth. Princess Beha also gritted her teeth. Half a month later, the excitement and visitors in the Su mansion gradually subsided, and on this day, in the garden of the Su mansion, Sudong was checking Zheng Dashu's practice. In the past, I cultivated my internal strength, firstly by relying on the technique, and secondly, I also directly swallowed the demon pills to transform the true essence, so I naturally made rapid progress, but Dashu couldn't. Demon pills can improve the strength, which is very useful before the unification of the martial arts. Because demon pills are only available to pre-information demons, and not to the nascent soul, that level of energy just meets the needs of martial artists before the unification of the martial arts. It's just troublesome to refine. Sudong recently discovered that Zheng Dashu's strength progress is slow, and he is not at the same level as he was at the beginning. He suddenly felt that there was something wrong with his teaching direction. Chapter 112, Immortal Stone. Thanks to the book friend with the last number 1749 for the reward. Thank you. Sorry for the trouble. Sudong looked at Zheng Dashu who was meditating and refining his ki in front of him. His heart sank a little. For a warrior to cultivate internal strength, the technique is important, and talent is also important. For those with good talent, the realm of the technique is improved rapidly, and the amount of true energy absorbed by the body is also large. In this regard, Dashu's talent is obviously not as good as his talent in swordsmanship. This cannot be compensated by hard work. Yes, if you can't refine the demon pill, you can still take the spirit essence, but the spirit essence will turn into a huge skill, and enter the body, which also needs to be fully absorbed by the body. If it can't be absorbed, it will only be wasted. You can't eat a fat man in one breath. The way of heaven is fair. External objects can only be auxiliary. If you really want to be strong, you must look at yourself. My way is not suitable for Dashu, or maybe the technique is not suitable for Dashu. The technique he taught Zheng Dashu was the nameless mental method. Obviously, Zheng Dashu found it difficult to get started. I will choose a martial art that suits Dashu. Everyone has a different path. For the same martial art, everyone has different talents to learn. This is the benefit of having a master. Having a good master to teach you can help you avoid many detours, which is a great opportunity in itself. Not to mention that this master is Sudong. Sudong's mind sank into the Dantian in his body, and his mind clicked into the ancient martial arts secret book library on his mobile phone. I want to choose an entry-level practice method suitable for Dashu to practice. If I have to choose, I will choose the best one. Sudong was guided by the old man in the ancient martial arts secret book library. He spent 16 units of spiritual essence. Well, these three martial arts are the most suitable: Xianshan Zenki, Hunyuan Zenki, and Prajna Zenki. Before the true essence is liquefied, it is the true ki that is cultivated. Choose 3 exercises. Dashu. Sudong called softly. Zheng Dashu suddenly broke away from the state of meditation and looked at his master. His expression was very uneasy, and he was no longer as cheerful as before. Recently, his mind was all focused on refining ki, but he himself felt that it was slow. The old man said that when he was a child, he practiced and felt the ki in 3 days, and absorbed the true ki. The 6th brother felt the ki in 1 day, and is now master in the mansion. The Su mansion is now big family with no shortage of powerful warriors, so Zheng Dashu naturally has a comparison object. But when he compared, he suddenly felt that his talent was really not good compared to them. I think I'm very stupid. Master will definitely dislike me. Who knows? He is also angry. I have failed Master's expectations. Alas, I'm angry myself. I have to kill monsters and eliminate monsters in the future. How can I kill monsters if I make such slow progress? Although Zengdashu is young, he has experienced a lot. The disasters in his childhood have always left a shadow in his heart. He has nightmares at night, which torture him and make his mind more mature than other children. Other children like to play, but he only likes to practice swords and practice with one heart. This hard work has been seen by everyone in the Su mansion. But now there are difficulties in front of him, and Zengdashu has been very anxious recently. Master. Zengdashu glanced at Sudang, lowered his head, and dared not look directly into his master's eyes. He felt ashamed. Sudang had a smile on his face. He knew that the little guy had been in a bad mood recently, so he paid special attention to him, which led to today's scene. Sudang felt that it was not the disciple's fault that his disciple encountered difficulties in cultivation. A big reason was also his master. As a master, he naturally had to find ways to help his disciples overcome difficulties and choose the most suitable path for them. Of course, it is not easy to achieve this step. Only he has a library of ancient martial arts secrets. Master will teach you 3 more mental methods. From today on, you will practice each of the 3 methods once. See which one is most suitable for you and choose the most suitable one to practice. Sudang smiled and said. Zengdashu was stunned. Master. Sudang raised his palm and gently placed it on the top of Zengdashu's head. A light golden light flickered between his palms, and streams of information flowed into Zengdashu's mind. Ah, this is. Zengdashu's eyes widened, and 3 martial arts techniques suddenly appeared in his mind, each of which was directly imprinted in his mind. Innate Ki, Human Ki, Prajna Ki. Each technique was extremely profound. Zengdashu's small body trembled slightly, and his eyes were moist. After the transmission of the skills, Sudang retracted his palm. Thank you, Master. Zengdashu knelt down and kowtowed. The grace of teaching and learning is very great in this world. In this world, the relationship between master and disciple is a very reliable relationship, comparable to the blood relationship between parents. If a disciple betrays his master, he will be despised by the world and become a public enemy. Sudang accepted this kowtow, stretched out his hand to help him up, but with a confident smile on his face. It's a small matter. If these 3 techniques are not suitable, I will find others for you. Sudang smiled, got up and left, looking very chic. That being said, martial arts require spiritual essence. Training disciples also costs money. Or thought flashed through Sudang's mind. If there are suitable conditions, selling the martial arts in this ancient martial arts secret book library is also a good way to make a fortune. Unfortunately, I don't know if anyone is willing to buy it. Zengdashu looked at the back of his master leaving and wiped away his tears silently. Master raised me and taught me. I can't let him down. He didn't eat or rest and immediately began to practice 3 exercises eagerly. After temporarily solving the disciple's problem, Sudang also plunged into practice. This book was recently updated in Update. Heaven is fair. He has an extraordinary opportunity, but if he doesn't work hard, he will still be just an ordinary person. In Sudang's room, a person sat cross-legged on the bed. His mind sank into the Dantian mobile phone, swiping the applications on the mobile phone interface. App Store, Sacrificial Furnace, and Luck Compass. Ancient Martial Arts Secret Book Library, including Jidao, Jianglang Suit, and Aohan Lu. In addition to some seemingly useless applications that come with the mobile phone. These are all the applications in his Dantian mobile phone at present. There is not enough space to download more apps. If you want to download something else, you have to uninstall one. Good apps take up a lot of memory. The best ones are that, even if he uninstalls them all, it is still not enough. And, generally good apps also require a lot of spiritual essence to use. I still have a lot of spiritual essence on hand, but I can't download any apps. The spiritual essence obtained from Gang's Easy has not been used up yet. I should be satisfied. This is how cultivation works. The later you get, you can't always rely on external objects. The way he is improving his strength now is, first, to comprehend the 2nd level of the extreme way, and second, to reach the stage of sword soul recording and sword heart. Third, unless the Dantian mobile phone changes again, this can be ignored. Now is the time to truly test myself. It can also be seen from the download and installation of martial arts on the mobile phone that this kind of martial arts has exceeded the scope of being able to practice it completely after installing it on the mobile phone. Sudong pondered for a moment, then opened his eyes and moved his hand. A red jade and a storage bag appeared in his palm. Sudong put down the storage bag, took the red jade, and looked at it carefully. Although I don't want to cultivate immortality, but I have to see what this immortal fate is. As a mortal, Sudong is of course curious. He did it as he thought. The Kixen stone is very easy to use. Sudong squeezed a little blood from his fingertips and dropped it on the jade. But suddenly, the originally calm red jade suddenly emitted layers of brilliant light, and the entire jade turned into a piece of light, which fell directly 3 feet above Sudong's head. There is a god 3 feet above your head. Wow. The brilliant and vast light poured down from it. Sudong seemed to see the incomparably beautiful starry sky and the lines of the avenue in his eyes. Is this the way of heaven? He was surprised and admired. This is more majestic than any other scene. But suddenly, a will that seems to be there and not there came. Outsider, outsider. Swish. All the light dissipated, and it returned to the red jade, and fell into Sudong's palm. Sudong looked confused. Chapter 113 Key 1. Sudong looked at the Kixen stone in his hand. The meaning of the will that had just descended echoed in his mind. Outsider. You say I'm an outsider. Of course he was an outsider. I understand. I'm not a creature born in this world, so naturally I can't be recognized, and I can't feel the way of this world. Sudong suddenly understood. The immortal cultivator cultivates the way of heaven. If he can't get the recognition of the way of heaven, what's the point of cultivating? He can't cultivate immortality. Sudong shook his head and put away the Kixen stone. He didn't care at all. He just wanted to satisfy his curiosity and see what this immortal fate was. But it proves that the path I'm taking is right. Sudong was extremely determined. His heart was as calm as water. He was walking the path of a warrior. The influence of the way of heaven can only affect his lifespan. As long as he breaks through the level of the god of war, breaks the void, and breaks free from the shackles of the way of heaven, he will naturally be immortal. Putting away the Kixen stone, he can't use it, and it is also a treasure for others. He reached out and took the storage bag on the table. He opened the storage bag, and suddenly the whole room was filled with rich spiritual power and fragrance. The dense fog and spiritual energy even condensed into spiritual light, which was dazzling. It was a second-grade spiritual essence body jade core. Sudong took out the body jade core and looked at it carefully. It was a blooming purple gold flower. In the center of the flower, the golden core had a rich spiritual light. No creature could resist the temptation of this spiritual essence. Body jade core. Sudong pinched the spiritual essence with his fingers, took a deep breath, and the rich spiritual energy entered his nasal cavity. Then, he pinched the spiritual essence with his fingers, brought it to his mouth, and swallowed it directly. Sudong didn't chew it, but only tasted a little light sweetness, which made people linger. After all, it was a spiritual essence that could increase lifespan by 200 years. How many people can taste this taste? The spiritual essence entered the body and immediately turned into a stream of light matter. Generally, spiritual essences entering the body are liquid substances, but this body jade core entering the body is a light substance. The light-like substance radiated and instantly covered Sudong's body, and even his body surface emitted a circle of spiritual light. Sudong waited silently, ready to enjoy the process of increasing his lifespan by 200 years. At first, he felt nothing, and then the light-like substance radiated all over his body. Sudong just felt a little warm in his body. When he was ready to experience it carefully, suddenly, something strange happened. In his Dantian, the mobile phone that had been quietly sitting there suddenly vibrated, as if a hungry tiger suddenly noticed its prey, and a circle of golden light burst out on the entire phone. Sudong was shocked. This scene was somewhat familiar. When he first took the spiritual essence and the mobile phone gave birth to the App Store, there was a change, but it was not as strong as this time. The mobile phone burst out with golden light, and circles of golden light overlapped together, like a huge vortex, generating a huge centripetal force, madly sucking the radiating light-like substance, and the light-like substance that was originally scattered all over Sudong's body suddenly gathered towards the Dantian. Wow. Like a whale swallowing a bottle of water, the light-like substance was easily swallowed up by the golden light vortex and all entered the phone. This process lasted for about 10 seconds. There was no light-like substance left. It all entered the phone. The phone stopped vibrating, and the golden light dissipated. Everything stopped. Huh? It's over? Sudong blinked. His second grade spiritual essence, the top spiritual essence that can increase his lifespan by 200 years, was just swallowed up. Sudong immediately opened his phone and checked it. The appearance of the phone did not change at all, and the many applications inside did not change. The internal storage space still did not change. No way. Did it swallow my body jade core in vain? Sudong had the urge to curse. But suddenly, his mind paused. There was a function on the phone, which was an icon for making a call. At this moment, the icon for making a call seemed to be flashing with a little light, and Sudong immediately clicked it. The screen flashed, and a dial popped up. On the ordinary dial, the first key, number 1, in the upper left corner, was showing a strange ripple. The ripple became more and more obvious, as if the number 1 key was rising higher and higher, and higher. Then, under Sudong's stunned gaze, pop. With the sound of water drops, the number 1 key actually fell directly from the dial. Swish. Sudong's mind moved, and he caught the falling number 1 key. In the room, Sudong, who had originally closed his eyes, suddenly opened his eyes. In his hand, a golden light flashed, and a number 1 key that seemed to be made of light was quietly lying in his palm. How wonderful. Sudong felt that the number 1 key in his palm was like a part of his body. Yes, he blew a breath on the number 1 key, and he could even feel the airflow. It was a part of his body. Whoosh. Sudong waved his palm, throwing the number 1 key out. Key number 1 was not blocked by space, and instantly passed through the window, and was thrown by Sudong to a height of tens of meters. Sudong had been sensing silently, but this sensing made his body blurry. Swish. His body, which was originally meditating in the room, appeared directly at the position of key number 1 in the sky. Teleport. This book was recently updated in update. It's amazing. Sudong looked at the Su mansion below, and key number 1 in his hand. This is teleportation. Unlike the innate shadow, it is necessary to swim in the shadow to achieve the effect of ignoring distance. Key number 1 is like a fixed point coordinate, which teleports through the coordinates and instantly pulls Sudong to the position of key number 1. Amazing. Amazing. In the evening, about hundreds of kilometers away from Ningen County, surrounded by mountains, a golden electric light instantly shot over. Sizzle. It landed on the top of a mountain and turned into Sudong's figure. Well, it's almost far enough. Sudong looked into the distance and felt it in his heart. The location of key number 1 can still be clearly sensed. That is the location of the Su mansion. This kind of sensing is obviously not affected by distance. Swish. Sudong on the mountain peak disappeared. In Sudong's room in the Su mansion in Ningen County, hundreds of kilometers away, an Arabic numeral 1 that seemed to be condensed by golden light was quietly placed on the table. Swish. Sudong's figure suddenly appeared in the space. I'm back. Sudong looked at the familiar room. A happy expression appeared on his face. After flying hundreds of kilometers away with great effort, an idea came back. Key number 1. It's such a good treasure. No matter where I am in the future, as long as I put key number 1 in a safe place, it will be an excellent way to save my life. Sudong suddenly felt heroic. With key number 1, where can he go? Ah, I understand. Suddenly, a light burst out in Sudong's eyes. The first time I swallowed the spiritual essence, it was the 9th grade spiritual essence, and the phone snatched it, and even generated an app store. The second time, the body jade core was the 2nd grade spiritual essence, and the phone dial pad mutated, and turned into this number key. There is no doubt that the phone mutation is related to the spiritual essence, and the higher the grade of the spiritual essence, the greater the mutation to the phone. I swallowed a second grade spiritual essence and generated this number key. And what about the other two? The dial pad plus the pound key and the asterisk key. There are 12 keys. In the past, the 9th grade spiritual essence was not snatched because the grade was too low. This is the 2nd grade spiritual essence. What about the 1st grade spiritual essence? Obviously, the higher the grade of the spiritual essence, the greater the effect on the phone mutation. Will it increase the storage space of the phone? Sudong's heart skipped a beat. It is very likely. But, is there a 1st grade spiritual essence in the entire Jin Dynasty? Even if there is, it is in the hands of the Mahayana ancestors. Sudong thought to himself. Chapter 114 Spiritual Level Breakthrough. Thanks to number 3 Space and Yi Yang for the reward. Thank you. In a blink of an eye, 2 months have passed. The weather in Ningbo County is gradually getting colder. Most of the green leaves of the trees in the garden are beginning to turn yellow. The flowers that were originally in great shape are gradually withering. But more plants that bloom beautifully in the cold winter still exude fragrance and bloom with life. In the early morning, in the Su mansion, Yangon, wearing a round-necked robe and holding a pointed teapot, walked through the corridor. As Sudong became venerable, his status also rose. In the past, when he was young, he made a living in the rivers and lakes, fighting on the edge of a knife. At that time, his martial arts were average, and he only had one life. He looked at people's eyes and was inferior to others. Now it's different. Yangon's life is very moist and leisurely. Walking through the corridor, he saw a small figure sitting cross-legged in the martial arts field not far from the corridor. Big tree, go out and play with the children more often. Don't be too tired. Yangon smiled at the small figure and shouted with a doting look in his eyes. Zengdashu just opened his eyes and looked at Yangon. No, I have just made some progress recently. I must strike while the iron is hot and not slack off, Zengdashu said with a firm face. After that, he continued to practice with his eyes closed. This brat. Yangon shook his head, but he nodded secretly in his heart. The old people have a saying that you can tell a child's future at the age of 3 and his old age at the age of 7. Although the saying is a bit biased, it also makes some sense. Zengdashu is only a little old this year, but he is so diligent and hardworking. Hard work pays off, and he will become a great man in the future. Yangon then walked to the backyard and looked at the 2 guards who were standing still at the gate of the back garden. Greetings, master. Both guards saluted Yangon. Well, Donja hasn't come out of retreat yet. He hasn't eaten or drunk for almost 2 months. Yangon looked into the garden through the door, his face a little worried. Since Sudong suddenly announced that he would retreat to practice martial arts more than a month ago, not a drop of water has been left. Your Excellency's power is profound. How can we understand it? The guard said with a look of reverence. Yes, but he still has to eat and drink. Yangon shook his head. He had heard of the legend that immortals do not eat worldly food, but that is for immortals. Sudong is a warrior after all, and Wuzun is also a warrior. Not eating and drinking for 2 months. It's a bit unbelievable. Donja was very crazy when he practiced, and now he is a venerable, and he is still so hardworking. The master and the disciple are more cruel to themselves than the other. Yangon shook his head and left. When he left, his face looked a little worried. In the garden, Sudong sat cross-legged under a tree. As he sat there, the wind could not blow his hair. The fallen leaves could not fall on him, and the insects avoided him when they met him. Around him, there seemed to be an invisible barrier that isolated everything. A person, sitting there, seemed to suppress all the natural things around him. Suddenly, Sudong's eyes opened, and a pair of deep and calm eyes instantly looked into the void. Boom. In those eyes, invisible scenes emerged. The world was turning upside down. Time was roaring, and the sun, moon, and stars burst out with brilliance at the same time. In the endless brilliance, Sudong's own figure stood still. One look, one world, one heart, one emptiness. At the spiritual level, self-esteem is the most important. Sudong smiled, and it seemed that the whole garden was full of laughter. It's done. 1.5 months ago, I felt something in my heart, and I immediately went into seclusion, concentrating on understanding all the time. Finally, my spiritual level broke through to Wuzun. There is no method for spiritual cultivation. If you understand it, you understand it. If you don't understand it, you have no clue at all. Compared to the oppression when breaking through the Wutong level, this time it is a natural result. Sudong sighed. It's not only oppression that can make the spirit burst out, maybe a little spiritual enlightenment. It will naturally improve. It's hard to say, and it's easy to say. Spirit is a very strange energy. It's similar to the power of the soul, but it's different. As soon as my spiritual level broke through, my dream sword also broke through. Sudong smiled with satisfaction. 2 months ago, I thought about improving my sword skills, but I didn't expect that my sword skills didn't improve. Instead, my mobile phone changed again, and then my spiritual level broke through. 2 improvements that Sudong had never thought of, but they improved instead. Gurgle. A sound suddenly came from Sudong's stomach. I haven't eaten or drunk for such a long time. I'm really hungry, but it's just that I have a strong physique. Ordinary martial masters can't eat or drink like this. Sudong stood up. No matter how strong the spirit is, it can't be eaten. Sudong wants to have a good meal now. Whoosh. He took a step and appeared outside the garden in an instant. My lord? The 2 guards were startled at the same time and bowed. Well, you have worked hard these days. Sudong smiled. He didn't expect that he would practice for 2 months. This book was recently updated in #. Update. It seems that 100 years is really not enough for practice. It is a blessing for me to be able to protect you, sir. The 2 guards looked respectful. Their sir was well known for his consideration for his subordinates, and he was of high status and powerful. They naturally respected him from the bottom of their hearts. Has anyone come to see me recently? Sudong asked. No one else, but the old man often comes here, and he seems to be worried. The 2 guards said in succession. He just came. Maybe he is worried about you. Adoptive father? Sudong understood. He walked out of the garden and saw Zengdashu meditating and refining ki in the distance. He nodded slightly without disturbing the latter and immediately walked to the front yard and saw his adoptive father Yang playing with birds there. Although he was playing with birds, there was a trace of sadness between his eyebrows. It seems that my adoptive father is really worried. Sudong thought to himself. He immediately shouted, adoptive father. Huh. Yang turned back in surprise. Donja, you are out of retreat. Come on, Zara King, go prepare wine and food, and prepare more meat. Yang directly ordered a beautiful maid not far away. Now, there are many beautiful maids in the whole Su mansion. They were originally given to Sudong as concubines by officials and rich people from all over the country. Sudong didn't need them. Naturally, she became a maid. Yes, master. The maid called Zara King bowed, and her eyes like water secretly glanced at Sudong, and even ran to give instructions. Hurry up and sit down, Donja, you haven't eaten well for such a long time. You should eat more meat to make up for it. Yang pulled Sudong to sit on the stone bench in the yard. Sudong was smiling. I'm fine, but you, godfather, are you worried about something? Me. Yang hesitated immediately. You should eat first, and then talk after dinner. Godfather, between you and me, there is nothing that can't be said directly. Sudong said. Yang immediately sighed lightly, looking at Sudong in front of him. The most correct thing he did in his life. It was to save the boy in front of him from the Hun River. He couldn't help but say, it's like this, my godfather has something to ask for your help. You tell me. Sudong blinked. Yang sighed again and said, Donja, you know, my godfather had a wife and daughter when he was young. Later, because my godfather was incompetent, his wife left and took his daughter away. I don't miss my wife anymore, as long as she is well, but my daughter, after all, she is my flesh and blood, and my godfather has never let her go, so I want to ask you to help my godfather find her, and see how she is doing now. When he was young, he was a wanderer, young and hot-tempered, and reckless. He didn't know how to take care of his family. Later, he regretted it when his wife and children left him. Although he let it go on the surface, he was always anxious in his heart. Now Sudong has power in the Jin Dynasty. He naturally misses his daughter. Once he thinks of it, he can't stop thinking about it. Children, which one is not the flesh and blood of parents? And Sudong has heard about this daughter before. My godfather got married early, and my daughter is older than me, so she should have married a long time ago. It may not be easy to find her. Sudong's mind turned, but he smiled and nodded immediately. It's a small matter. Godfather, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Sudong agreed immediately. Yang was relieved and smiled, but he still said, it's not urgent. If we can't find it, forget it. Chapter 115 New County Magistrate. On that day, Sudong had a good meal. As soon as he came out of retreat, the mansion seemed to be much more lively. At noon, the whole Ning'an County was bustling, and many residents came to the streets. The wealthy businessmen in the county city got the news early that the new county governor of Ning'an County would take office today. The new county governor was named Liu Zhuang. It was said that he was born in the Liu family, a large family in Nanyang County. He was also a martial artist. He also worshipped in a sect, practiced and became a successful official. He came up from the bottom and sat in the position of county governor. In terms of his own ability, he was much stronger than the previous county governor Liu Wenhu. The county governor entered Ning'an County with a huge guard of honor. He did not go to the county governor's mansion, but went straight to the Su mansion. This caught the many wealthy businessmen who greeted him off guard. They could only follow behind the guard of honor. Liu Zhuang has a rough appearance. He is in his 40s and in his prime. Sitting in the sedan chair, his back is straight. Sir, today is your first day in office. You should first meet the local county magistrate and the wealthy official. The visit to the venerable can be postponed to tomorrow. The master beside him persuaded him, thinking that his master thought too highly of the venerable. You know nothing. As soon as Liu Zhuang opened his mouth, he was not as gentle and elegant as an ordinary civil servant, but was full of vulgar words. Do you know how Liu Wenhu, the previous governor of Ning'an County, was investigated? It was because he offended Venerable Su. Do you know how Lord Wang Sen, who was on duty as the emperor, died? The imperial envoy was overthrown by Venerable Su. When I came, my old man had already specifically told me that this venerable in Ning'an County hates evil and kills people, no matter how big your background is. It is said that you are a royal relative. Forget it, you won't know it, even if I tell you. Liu Zhuang hesitated to speak. He was rough, but bold and careful. After so many years in the officialdom, he also knew the truth, that disaster comes from the mouth. In short, this venerable of Shifen Pavilion is different from other Huishan Zenjin. Some of them are too lazy to care about our official affairs, but this venerable is different. He is only in his 20s this year. He has both power and strength, and he is murderous, and can't stand injustice. He is the most difficult to serve. I have to coax him well. Coax him well. Everything will be fine. Liu Zhuang said softly. No matter how powerful he is still a young man after all. As long as you give him enough face and make him happy, he will naturally be embarrassed to trouble him. So on the first day of his appointment, he didn't go anywhere, didn't see anyone, and asked to see Sudong first. This face was big enough. So, this venerable Su is a ruthless person. The master muttered immediately. Don't say that. Venerable Su kills demons and eliminates monsters. It is a great merit to the court and the people. Being ruthless is also to those evil cultivators and corrupt officials. But I'm not a corrupt official. I'm upright, and I'm not afraid of my shadow. He smiled. Only then did he dare to go directly to Sudong's door with confidence. I just don't know how this Suzam practiced. I also practiced martial arts. I also worshipped a big sect. But now my achievement is just to break through the martial arts level and fly in the air. He is already a martial arts son, and the first son of Shifen Pavilion. In the past, he was quite proud. But when compared with Sudong, he was immediately killed by comparison. The gap is too big. The county governor's guard came all the way to the door of Sudong's mansion. I'll go to inform. The master took the initiative to step forward. Wait, I'll go myself. Liu Zhuang came out of the sedan chair, walked briskly, walked to the door of Su's mansion, and stood at the bottom of the stairs. Please inform the venerable that Liu Zhuang, the new county governor of Ning'an County, is here to pay his respects. Liu Zhuang looked very sincere. The guards in front of the Su mansion turned around to report. They were originally the personal guards under the command of Zhang Zhen, the king of King's Hao. to Sudang. Naturally, they would not take a county governor seriously. After a while, the guard who reported came out. My master said that Lord Eli should go in alone, and the rest of you should wait outside and rest. Okay. Eli Zuang nodded with a smile. He turned around and ordered, you guys take a rest, I'll go see the venerable. Then he walked up the stairs and followed the previously informed guards into the Su mansion. The common people and the rich gentry in the distance watched inside. This is the status. In the past, Lord Su was a flying fish leader, and the county governor was even more powerful than him. Now he has transformed into a local venerable, and the county governor can only wait to see him. Why didn't I think of getting along better with this flying fish leader before? I heard that the venerable lord doesn't have a wife yet. The venerable lord is a warrior, not a cultivator, and he will eventually marry and have children to carry on the family line. There are cultivators who have long lifespans and practice with all their heart. They think that love is troublesome and cut off their 7 emotions and 6 desires. As for having children, they are very rare. Of course, this is a one-sided impression of most of them, the mortals. They can't imagine how the immortals live. If they can get related to Sudang, it would be amazing. It's like the Zhang family getting on the high branch of the Zhao Wang. In the front hall of the Su mansion, Sudang was sitting alone in the hall. He was drinking tea. He had eaten too much before and was digesting it, but there was a faint murderous aura between his eyebrows. It's bad. I always feel hungry recently. I was so focused on studying the spiritual level that I didn't pay attention to it. I just felt hungry just now. But now I'm full, but I still feel hungry. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Sudang immediately realized where the problem was. This hunger comes from the hunger of the soul. I have demon blood, which means I need to devour resentful souls every day. In the past, I killed many demons, and many resentful souls accumulated in my body. I didn't feel anything, but now that they have all been digested, the problem naturally arises. I chose the demon transformation space because it had a high score and could improve my strength in a short period of time. In fact, it did improve my strength quickly. I was able to kill the old Black Wind demon, and the demon blood played an indispensable role. He uninstalled this app, but it undoubtedly gave him a strong physique. However, things that come easily always have flaws. The need to devour resentful souls is a flaw. After all, I'm not a killing machine. Cultivation, understanding, feeling, and strengthening the body are more important. Killing demons is a duty, but you can't always immerse yourself in killing. This is a sequel. The only temporary solution is to kill monsters. I haven't killed monsters for a long time. Sudang thought to himself. At this time, Liu Zuang just walked in. As soon as he walked in, before he saluted, he saw the murderous aura that quietly flashed between Sudang's eyebrows. Now Sudang's spiritual level has broken through again. This is an invisible breakthrough, but the invisible pressure is also the most terrifying. Liu Zuang looked at him and collided with Sudang's deep eyes. His heart trembled immediately. What a scary look. I have seen the true Lord Huashan, and the true Lord Huashan does not have such a scary look. Liu Zuang immediately did not dare to be disrespectful and bowed. Your subordinate Liu Zuang greets the venerable. Well, Sir Liu, please don't be polite. Please take a seat. Sudang smiled and waved his hand. But he muttered in his heart, at first glance, Liu Zuang is also a martial arts master, and he is also a county governor appointed by the court. Why is he so timid? He didn't know that he was scared by himself. Liu Zuang sat down as he was told. The two of them talked and laughed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Pengyeo Zuansheng. Thanks to Wei Yakin for the 1100 starting coins, and to Zhao Huashai and Sheng for the reward. Thank you. After a conversation over a cup of tea, Sudang's easygoing personality and his tone did not sound arrogant, which immediately relieved the nervous new county magistrate. It seemed that the young venerable in front of him was not as crazy as he had imagined. As soon as Liu Zuan came in, Sudong opened the luck compass in Dantian's mobile phone to scan him. Naturally, he had already seen that, although Liu Zuan did not have the golden light of merit, he still had some light. It is good for an official to enforce the law impartially, which is much better than Luo Wenhu and Wang said. Sudong saw the light of merit and virtue on Liu Zuan, and his attitude improved. In addition, Liu Zuan was also a warrior with a rough personality. The two had a lot in common and talked happily. From now on, Uningen still needs the protection and management of the venerable. Liu Zuan said respectfully. Sir Liu. Sudong shook his head and said, as the venerable of Shifeng Pavilion, it is my unshakable duty to kill demons and expel evil cultivators. However, you are still needed to manage the county and the people's livelihood. After all, I'm young and don't know much about this, so I will not intervene. Hearing this, Liu Zuan was immediately delighted. This is the venerable giving up power. However, I hope Sir Liu will not follow the old path of County Magistrate Luo, who was corrupt and abused the law and bullied the people. Sudong's expression was serious. If I find out, there will be no mercy. In this regard, Sudong would never give in. Reverend Sir, rest assured, Liu has been an official for many years, and all he wants is to benefit the people. He will never make things difficult for you. Liu Zuan promised. If I do something wrong, you will kill me, and I will have no complaints. Then I will thank Sir Liu on behalf of the people of Ningen. Sudong also clasped his fists. He admired the honest officials. By the way, I have something that I need Sir Liu's help with. Sudong said. Your Excellency, please give me your instructions. Liu Zuan was very humble. Sudong said, my adoptive father Yangan had a wife and daughter in the past. Later, they were separated, and their whereabouts were unknown. I know that Lord Liu has some connections in the court, so I would like to ask Lord Liu to help find them. Separated. This, I'm afraid it's not easy to find. Liu Zuan immediately looked embarrassed. Don't worry, I need to arrange some errands in the middle, and the expenses will be paid by me. Sudong took out a stack of silver bills from his arms, and put them on the table. No, that's not what I mean. It's mainly because the people are separated, and they are women. Once they get married, they follow their husband's family. It's quite difficult to find them. Liu Zuan hurriedly stood up and declined. However, since your excellency trusts me, I will try my best to find them. I think it will take some time to find clues to their whereabouts. Liu Zuan said. Thank you very much, Lord Liu. Sudong also stood up and clasped his fists. Your excellency is polite. Liu Zuan smiled, but he thought to himself that this was an opportunity to get in touch with Sudong. Silver? If I can handle this matter well, then the venerable will owe me a favor. The venerable's favor is much more powerful than silver. He was born in Nanyang, so he naturally would not take the silver seriously. The venerable of Shifeng Pavilion is one of the best in the entire Jin Dynasty. The two chatted more about the characteristics and names of Yangan's wife and daughter, and then it was lunchtime. Sudong originally wanted to keep the new county governor at home for a meal, but Lord Liu was busy with official business, so he left. This day was destined to be extremely lively in the entire Ningen County. Many county lords and prefects came. Even the county lord of Pinggan County and Master Bao came, and Sudong also met this little brother who had not seen him for some time. However, as Sudong's status rose, he clearly felt that Master Bao was much more restrained in front of him. In a blink of an eye, it was night. The county city fell into silence again. In the Su mansion, in a study, Sudong, wearing a black robe, sat behind a large black desk, and there were also stacks of files and materials on the desk. Many files and materials recorded the big monsters that caused trouble to the local area. There are countless mountains, rivers, and lakes on the ground of Kingshao. Needless to say, some deep mountains and old forests are the territory of monsters. We humans don't even step into them, but there are still many big monsters who rely on this natural barrier to cause trouble to the local area. Sudong said secretly, with a strong murderous intent emerging in his deep and calm eyes. Just like Black Wind Mountain, the black-winded monster is just a top-level giant monster, but he has been rampant for thousands of years, relying on the Taizhou Mountains that stretch for thousands of miles behind him. And there are 7 monsters like the black-winded monster on the ground of Kingshao. Among these 7 monsters, the strongest is only at the top level of Yuanying, and the weakest is only at the top level of Jinden. Su Dong looked at the files and materials. This strength is naturally nothing in his eyes now. But when the immortal cultivators went there to encircle and suppress them, they fled early. When the army went there, a large number of monsters fought and suffered heavy losses, which was not worth the loss. The court also had a hard time dealing with these tumors within the territory. To kill monsters, the key is to rely on powerful warriors and immortal cultivators. I'm a warrior, monsters will be less defensive, and I have a chance to kill them, but when I take action, I will try not to alarm these monsters. Once alarmed, they will be on guard in the future. Su Dong thought. Who should I kill first? According to the records, the most serious one is the dead Blackwind monster and this top level Yuanying Zuansheng. A Peng monster dares to call himself a saint. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. In the southern part of Kingshao, there is an ancient forest. The forest is more than hundreds of thousands of years old. It is full of monsters and ghosts, and the terrain is mostly muddy swamps. It is called the Demon Swamp. Ordinary humans will never easily set foot in it. But there is a Peng monster among them, who is good at controlling the wind, and has a wingspan of more than 100 meters. He likes to fly out of the Demon Swamp, and fly to the human village. With a flap of his wings, he will blow away the entire village of humans and drag them into the Demon Swamp's lair. The Imperial Court sent out immortal cultivators to protect it, and even Shifen Pavilion had a true Lord of Transformation to guard it personally, but the Peng monster was extremely cautious and naturally good at speed, so several attempts to kill it were fruitless. Hundreds of years later, it was said that the Peng monster had a breakthrough in strength and called himself Zuansheng, causing trouble for the area and committing serious crimes. Although he was not as powerful as the black-winded monster, he was not much worse. The Imperial Court was helpless, and the living area of the people was shrinking again and again. But they still suffered at every turn. It is said that because of this, the Peng monster was quite famous in the Demon Swamp. Because you want to eat human flesh. Find Peng monster Zuansheng. That's him. After I become the venerable of Shifen Pavilion, the first monster I want to kill is this Peng monster. Su Dong stood up, his black robe moving without wind. The murderous intent in his eyes was hard to suppress. He walked out of the room. Whoosh. He turned directly into golden lightning, flew into the night sky in an instant, disappeared into the horizon, and flew away. In the Su mansion, only Zheng Dashu, who was still practicing, happened to look up and saw the golden lightning with reverence in his eyes. Master went out. Did he go to kill monsters? He was in reverence and longing. When will he be able to do this? By the way, I haven't told Master yet that I can't practice any of the 3 techniques he gave me well, but half a month ago I suddenly found that practicing these 3 techniques together actually made my skills improve by leaps and bounds. Is this a problem? Forget it. Maybe Master knows. I'll just practice with peace of mind. At this rate, maybe in 2 years, I can surpass 6th brother. 6th brother, that is a guard who is about to reach the level of Wu-Tang. On such a quiet night, Zheng Dashu's small figure sat cross-legged under the window of his room. No one noticed that the 3-color true key faintly emerging from that small figure was quite mysterious. Chapter 117 Demonic Swamp. That night, Su Dong turned into lightning and moved forward in the night sky. The mountains and rivers of the county city passed by him in an instant. Because it was still within the scope of Kingshao, just out of the human habitation area, the Demon Swamp was farther away, but it took less than an hour for Su Dong to reach the periphery of the Demon Swamp. Su Dong landed outside the Demon Swamp. The rotten forest still exuded an unpleasant rotten smell even at night. The files record that Peng Yao Zuansheng lives in the depths of the Demon Swamp, and his nest is very hidden. There is also news that this Peng Yao is very appreciated by the internal army of monsters because he can capture humans and cause trouble to the Jin Dynasty. It is said that he has been given many magic weapons and he himself has countless treasures. Sudong recalled a lot of information about Peng Yao Zuansheng in his mind. Although he was confident that he could kill the Peng Yao with ease in terms of strength, this was the territory of monsters after all. Monsters also have armies, such as the Heavenly Monster Army. There are also big monsters gathering inside this demon swamp. I'm afraid that there are no fewer demons of the transformation of spirits, and there are even great demons of the Mahayana realm. The human race and the monsters have been fighting for so many years. In fact, humans have always grown up under the oppression of monsters. In ancient times, it was even darker. Fortunately, the monsters at that time also had constant disputes with each other, so humans gradually rose. However, the inherent strength of monsters is always stronger than that of humans. Just like this vast area of heaven and earth, humans can only live in towns, while monsters occupy endless areas, mountains, rivers, swamps, and endless oceans. I have to be careful when I enter this demon swamp. If I encounter a great demon of the Mahayana realm, I will retreat immediately. Sudongsen said. He came to kill Peng Yao Zuansheng. Once the great demon of the transformation of spirits and the great demon of the Mahayana realm fight, he will be trapped in this demon swamp. There will be endless monsters, and it will be too late to ask for help. This is not a court town, and Li Xiangai can't arrive him the first time. Walking into the demon swamp, looking around, almost every tree is 50 or 60 meters high and several feet thick. Sudong walked in, just like an insect walking in, just a small shadow. His footsteps stepped on the rotten leaves and branches, and the rotten and smelly smell hit his face. Sudong frowned slightly. This is the real primeval forest, the wild world. Sudong sighed, and the true energy in his body quietly circulated, and the rich true energy between heaven and earth flew over by itself. The spiritual energy is rich and the vitality is vigorous. With such vigorous spiritual power, ordinary animals can become monsters here by themselves. What's more, monsters are born here naturally. Monsters born with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth have innate conditions that are several times better than humans. Just breathing a few breaths of the air here, Sudong felt that his body could be strengthened. Sudong stepped in. I'm now in the outskirts of the west of the demonic swamp. The files record that the Peng demon Zuansheng should be in this area. The demons have a strong sense of territory. If there is a demon like him here, there will not be a second one. Therefore, as long as I reach its territory, I can naturally find it. Just like the Black Wind demon at that time, he took the initiative to find him, deal with him, and was finally killed by him. To kill these cunning demons, you must take advantage of their carelessness. At this time, a few dozen meters away from Sudong, a thick and twisted black snake was entangled on a dark green tree that required dozens of people to hug. The pupils of this black snake were emerald green. The snake's tongue spit out lightly, and the moment it saw Sudong, the huge snake head suddenly turned into a human face. It turned into the cheek of an evil woman, but the corners of her mouth were open all the way to the roots of her ears, and the scarlet snake tongue stretched in and out of her scarlet lips, looking extremely ferocious. Human, how dare you enter the forest at night without spiritual power fluctuations? You are really courting death. She laughed, saliva flowing from the corners of her huge mouth. Swish. The human face on the big snake's head disappeared, and it turned into a snake head again. The huge body twitched and fell from the tree. In the dark night, with a layer of black air, the big snake instantly crossed a distance of dozens of meters and reached Sudong's side in an instant. At the same time, the bloody mouth suddenly opened, and the height of the upper and lower jaws alone was Sudong's height. It swallowed Sudong directly. Sudong turned his head, his eyes calm and deep, looking at the huge snake mouth in front of him. Puff! He casually swung out a palm force. The powerful dragon subduing palm force penetrated his body. Even if Sudong intended to suppress his skills, the powerful palm force instantly crushed the throat of the big snake and penetrated from the latter's jaw. Puff! Blood was scattered. The ferocious snake suddenly fell to the ground, and its huge body was filled with black smoke. It suddenly turned into a delicate woman's body. She was naked, graceful, and extremely charming. Her long black hair covered her waist like a waterfall, and her curves were even more charming. She raised her head, and blood slid down the corners of her pink lips on her charming and weak face. Her watery eyes looked at Sudong in front of her pitifully. Young man, spare me. I'm ignorant and offended you. Please punish me," the girl said timidly and weakly. Sudong stared at the snake demon coldly. A snake demon that has just formed a pill and can transform, has such a huge body. This is the unique environment. Sudong thought to himself. The realm is the same, but the demon body of the monster is different, and the strength is also very different. Just because he is immortal, you come to eat him? Sudong only used palm skills, and he didn't even use the martial arts true essence, but he almost killed it. This is the difference in strength. The gap is too big. But the snake demon didn't know. It was just secretly shocked. This human warrior is so powerful. He seriously injured me with one palm, but he should not have reached the level of martial arts. A warrior, still so young. I guess he doesn't have much experience. I tempted him. Maybe he would let me go out of his heart. The snake demon looked at Sudong pitifully. She knew how tempting her changed appearance was to human men. Human men are very stupid and can be easily influenced by appearance, even if they just saw her true form. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Sudong sneered. Offend me? If I didn't have some strength, I'm afraid I would have been eaten by you just now. The girl's eyes were filled with tears. Young man, I'm ignorant. I was starving, so I didn't choose food. Please spare my life. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to serve you for the rest of my life. A monster. And you call yourself a woman. Sudong felt disgusted. Killing and eating people, and you still say it so confidently. His palm trembled slightly, and he almost couldn't help but slap the monster to death with a palm. Let me ask you, do you know where the nest of Pengyeo Zuansheng is? Sudong asked. Zuansheng? You want to find Zuansheng? The snake demon girl looked at Sudong in disbelief. Speak. Sudong frowned. The snake demon girl immediately showed a pitiful expression with her lips tightly bitten. I told you that you would let me go. Sudong nodded casually. Okay, Zuansheng's nest is deep from here, dozens of miles west, in the poisonous swamp. Swish. As soon as he finished speaking, the snake demon girl suddenly rushed to the side without any warning, and the girl's white skin was still shining in the night. But her palm print was faster. It was too fast, and the snake demon girl had no time to dodge and resist. Puff. A palm smashed her head. The body fell down, and turned into a hideous black snake. A snake pill rolled to Sudong's feet. I'm not going to let you go, and you didn't believe me. Sudong stepped on the demon pill into the rotten soil, and he was too lazy to pick it up. Now, he didn't care about the demon pill of a little demon who had just formed a pill. At the same time, a few miles away from the demon swamp, a small team was resting. Two women in tight clothes sat together. Kinryumi, if your grandmother knew that you came out to train with me this time, I can't afford it. Our Kingshan Sword sect can't afford it. The older woman laughed softly. What are you afraid of? My fourth sister is physically disabled, but she was still allowed to go out at a young age. Why can't I, Qin Liuniang, do the same? The little girl pouted her lips. She looked delicate. What's more, with you, the giant and master sister of Kingshan Sword sect, here, what am I afraid of? She said with a smile. Chapter 118 is available now. Tomorrow, Danki's new book I Have a Cell Phone in My Dantian will be on the shelves. To be honest, from March 26, 2014 to today, Gideon has accompanied Danki from the young boy at that time to the big man today. If I have to say something emotional, I can only say that time flies. There is nothing much to say about the new book. There are many dissatisfactions and many defects. But more is satisfaction. This is the limit that Danki can show with the best effort. In the future, Danki will work harder to write every chapter and conceive every plot. This is Danki's guarantee to everyone. As for the monthly ticket, because of Danki's own work reasons, it is really impossible to promise you a burst of updates, so I won't force it. Of course, subscription is still required. Support genuine reading. Thank you everyone. Finally, thank you again for the 1000 Gideon coins reward from Wendy Akin and the 2000 Gideon coins reward from Yunhei. Thank you. Thank you also to every book friend who recommended the new book and collected it. Thank you. Gideon is the partner that has accompanied Danki for 5 years. Here, there are old books, new books, and you, which is great. Chapter 119 Rescued. Thanks to Zuayuz in Hunbei for the 2000 starting coins, and thanks to Huanglong in Fucked for the rewards. The other woman couldn't help but smile, and this smile was immediately full of charm. Do you think this is the outside world? This is the demon swamp, the place of monsters. Even Yuanian cultivators dare not be careless, let alone me in the Jindan realm. Qin Liuniang was still smiling and said, didn't we encounter a Jindan monster before, and it was killed by Sister Su with one sword. The Nine Heavens Thunder's Io divine sword of the Kingshan sword school is just right to restrain these monsters. She praised the woman next to her, and the woman could only shake her head helplessly. I can't do anything to you. Anyway, you have to be careful, and stay by my side all the time. Okay. The woman surnamed Su was silent, looking at the endless lush forest in the night, with a slight solemnity in her eyes, and her white jade-like fingers also held the scabbard of the long sword in her hand tighter. Being in such a place, she was not as carefree as Qin Liuniang. If we go a few miles deeper into the demon swamp, we will reach the 7-step swamp. The purple cloud spirit is within the 7-step swamp. We can collect it, and return to the sect. Immortal cultivators need many materials to refine magic weapons and elixirs. In ancient forests like the demon swamp, there are naturally many natural treasures. Monsters rarely know how to use them, but immortal cultivators do. Even some monsters' bodies can be refined into magic weapons by immortal cultivators. After a night of rest, the sky just gave out light, and this small group set off again. The woman surnamed Su was wearing a tight outfit. Although she was walking in the forest, she was several feet above the ground and suspended in the air. After all, she was a woman, and she naturally couldn't stand it in this wild forest swamp. Qin Liuniang beside her was stepping on a fiery red flying silk and also shuttled in the air, but it was hard for the dozen guards surrounding her to protect her. They were all ordinary people and naturally couldn't be so extraordinary. They walked for several miles in this way, and everything was fine. Suddenly, the girl surnamed Su looked forward, frowned slightly, and whispered, be careful, the area ahead is the Kibuse area. In the Kibuse area, first, you must be careful of monsters, and second, you must also pay attention to the purple cloud spirit to complete this mission. Are we at the Kibuse? The guards who were protecting all parties suddenly became serious. They were all ordinary people. They had heard of the legend of the Kibuse. Why was it called the Kibuse? It was because, within the area of the lake, you would encounter a monster almost every 7 steps. Of course, it was not a monster, but it was much more powerful than ordinary beasts. However, in their team, all the warriors were close to the level of martial arts, and they were masters in the world. They could still deal with some monsters. When they encountered monsters, they were also relieved by the immortal cultivators in front of them. Monster, let me meet a monster. I want to keep it as a pet. It can't be too ugly. Qin Liuniang was very excited and happy. Liuniang. Follow me closely. The girl surnamed Su whispered. Don't worry, Sister Su. The girl didn't listen to her at all and flew forward on the red silk. In her hand, a cloud white bracelet shone brightly, emitting a hazy light, and it was obvious that she was also protected by a magic weapon. The team moved forward carefully. After walking for dozens of meters, it was extremely quiet and peaceful, and there were no monsters. Even insects and animals, and the birds circling in the sky were gone. What is Kibuse? There are no monsters. Qin Liuniang was still dissatisfied. It's strange. The woman surnamed Su was also puzzled. Everyone in the team relaxed. Just like this, after a while, clatter. When they pushed aside a dense jungle in front of them and continued to move forward, the woman surnamed Su and Qin Liuniang in the front saw a young man in a black robe sitting on the stone on the edge of a quiet lake in the distance. The young man put his hands on his knees and closed his eyes to rest. He seemed to be in a good mood. At this moment, in the quiet lake behind the young man, a huge phantom suddenly jumped up. The phantom showed its ferocious fangs in the sun, and its body was covered with dense silver scales. This scene scared the whole team. On the contrary, the young man sitting there seemed to be unaware of the danger behind him. It's dead. The guards in the distance all shook their heads. Sitting with their backs to the dangerous lake at such a close distance. It was simply a suicidal act. There were many monsters in the lake that could catch creatures on land. The young man was looking for death. "It's a flying featherfish. Quickly transform the flying featherfish." The woman surnamed Sue shouted coldly. Swish. A red silk instantly passed through the sky, like a fiery red silk, and slapped the ferocious flying fish. The huge force made the flying fish lose a lot of scales, and the whole body fell back into the lake. But after flapping twice, it suddenly made a sharp cry. Squeak. Swish. Swish. Many ferocious flying fish suddenly jumped out of the originally calm lake water. Some were big and some were small. The big ones were as tall as a person, while the small ones were only as big as a palm. They all pounced on Hangling and the young man by the lake. Some even flew directly to the shore and pounced on the team. How disgusting. Qin Liuniang clenched her brows. She used her hands to form a series of magic formulas, controlling Hangling to emit red light, like a red cloud, protecting the young man by the lake. The flying fish also bounced away, but more of them bit her flying ling. However, it was obvious that a layer of fine sweat had already appeared on the forehead of the girl when she used the magic weapon in this way. Go. The woman surnamed Sue pointed her right finger forward, and the long sword in her left hand suddenly made a crisp sound and came out of the sheath with a clang. The sword light was like a rainbow. He rushed straight to the largest flying fish in the lake. With a flash of light and a sizzling sound, the sword light easily penetrated the body of the flying fish. The strong sword energy directly cut the flying fish into several pieces and dropped them into the lake. Snap. Then the long sword turned the sword body, emitting a series of blow lightning arcs, which burst onto many flying fish. Suddenly, the scales of the flying fish exploded and flew, becoming charred and falling to the ground, and even emitting the aroma of barbecue. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Crash. Those flying fish that were not hit by the arc fell back into the lake and disappeared with a flutter. Sister Sue is so powerful. Grilled fish. Qin Liuniang was happy and excited and stretched out her hand to call back Hangling. The fangs in the mouth of the flying fish are very powerful, and there are several that are about to transform. Although your Hangan feeling is a 4th grade magic weapon, it can't be bitten like that. The woman surnamed Sue glared at Qin Liuniang with her beautiful eyes. Isn't this for saving people? Qin Liuniang stuck out her tongue, then looked at her red silk, and saw that there were indeed a few marks on it, and she felt a little heartbroken. The woman surnamed Sue shook her head, and then a mirror appeared out of thin air in her hand, and as soon as the mirror appeared, it shone on the young man by the lake. The demon realm. The young man in the distance opened his eyes. His deep eyes seemed to be late to see. The mirror was calm. It's a human, no spiritual energy, just an ordinary person. The woman surnamed Sue shook her head secretly in her heart. It's really stupid for an ordinary person to be so careless. She put away the demon mirror. Qin Liuniang, however, had already walked towards the young man with a smile. He still looked like a cultivator who often went out. This big brother, you are so brave to sleep here. If it weren't for me, you would not be alive. Qin Liuniang scolded the young man in front of her, looking like a lifesaver. Thank you, young lady. Sudong also smiled and stood up and clasped his fists. The flying featherfish in the lake had been staring at him for a long time. He originally wanted to kill them all with one palm, but in fact, those flying featherfish could not even break his body protection essence. Who knew that he would be saved by someone? This kind of experience is really rare. Oh, there is also the golden light of merit. The woman with the sword over there also has the golden light of merit. Sudong's eyes suddenly lit up. It is rare to meet a good person with the golden light of merit. Chapter 120. There is a tiger in front and a wolf behind. Yes, if it weren't for this kind of chivalrous cultivator, how could he have seen him and offered help as his first reaction? After a while, Sudong joined the team. Last night, I killed 8 early stage giant monsters in one night. When I asked these 8 monsters, each of them said that the location of the Peng Yao Zuansheng's lair was different. One of them told me that Peng Yao Zuansheng lived in an underground palace built by humans. A Peng monster lived in an underground palace? Sudong even doubted whether those monsters knew the Peng Yao's lair. He himself didn't dare to be too reckless and rush in. It would be stupid to fall into the trap of those monsters. However, a night of killing did make the hunger in his soul disappear. The side effects of the demon bloodline were solved. It's really not easy to kill this Peng Yao Zuansheng. It depends on fate. Su Dong thought to himself. I don't know how many forces want to kill that kind of monster. To be able to survive until now, it must be as cunning as a loach. Since I met this team of cultivators, I might as well accompany them for a walk. Brother, don't worry. When we gather the materials we need, we'll take you out with us. It's not a bother. It's not a bother. This is called helping people to the end. Sending Buddha to the west. It's what we should do. Qin Liuniang was very happy. Grandma said that saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. This young man looked a little silly. If he didn't follow them, he might lose his life. We are just wandering around the periphery of this demon swamp. Nothing will happen. Qin Liuniang also comforted Su Dong. By the way, I haven't introduced you yet. My name is Qin Liuniang, a cultivator in the late stage of key refining. This is my sister Su, the eldest sister of the 6th generation of disciples of Qingshan Sword Sect, and a top cultivator in the Jindan stage. Qin Liuniang and Su Dong took the initiative to talk. The girl surnamed Su in the distance frowned and looked over. This girl, her name was just casually said goodbye to the man. But after all, she was a cultivator with an extraordinary personality, so she didn't bother to care too much. Looking at Su Dong, she waved her hand slightly. Suking. The woman uttered 2 words coldly. My name is Su Dong. Su Dong also clasped his fists. Wow, your last name is also Su? It's the same as Sister Su's. What a fate. Qin Liuniang smiled happily. Suking frowned. But Su Dong was more interested in the name of Qin Liuniang. 6th mother? 4th mother? Su Dong shook his head and put the idea aside without thinking too much. Brother Su, you are also a warrior, otherwise you wouldn't have entered this demon swamp. Qin Liuniang asked. Yes, I'm a warrior, and my martial arts are not bad. Su Dong smiled and nodded. Huh. Suddenly, the dozen or so warrior guards walking around shook their heads disdainfully. Good martial arts? Just brag about yourself. Little white face, this kid is bragging to Fairykin. This silly boy is so lucky to meet 2 fairies. Not only did they save him, but they also walked so close to him. Damn it, it's like we are protecting him. Your martial arts are good, but you are walking alone. Little white face, you have no good intentions. All the guards stared at Su Dong indignantly. Suking glanced at Su Dong. There was no extra expression in his eyes, but it was obvious that he ignored him. On the contrary, Qin Liuniang seemed to believe it. She asked excitedly, then brother Su Dong, what martial arts are you good at? Su Dong stretched out his palm. He smiled and said, I'm good at swordsmanship and palm skills. Swordsmanship is more powerful. Oh. Qin Liuniang nodded happily. The guards protecting him around were pale. Everyone wanted to come up and slap him. Damn, he is also good at swordsmanship and palm skills. Is martial arts so easy to practice? I think the best skill is talking. A group of guards stared at Su Dong fiercely. Be on guard. This is the demonic swamp. It would be bad if you are attacked by monsters. Suking shouted in a low voice, and the guards around him immediately became alert. She also looked at Su Dong with a cold look in her eyes, as if to warn Su Dong to stop bragging. Be quiet. Su Dong could only smile in return. Qin Liuniang stepped on the red silk. She stuck out her tongue at Suking. The latter could only shake her head. The lineage of the 9 ancestors sect Liuniang. The contemporary grandmother doted on her 7 adopted daughters, especially Liuniang. When she was a child, she always stayed by her side and never let Liuniang see any danger. Suking was helpless. Monsters are scary in this world, but what is scarier than monsters is the human heart. The human heart is sinister, and a little carelessness will lead to a catastrophe. However, she would never let Qin Liuniang encounter any danger. Go all the way. Walking in the kibus, the forest is dense with trees, and the number of monsters gradually increased. The group walked more carefully. Ah, I saw it. It's the purple cloud spirit. Suddenly, a guard pointed at a tall tree in the distance and said in a low voice, this book has been recently updated on #@. Update. Immediately, the whole team looked in the direction of his finger and saw at a glance that on a branch of a tall tree just a few dozen meters away from them, there were clusters of purple substances piled up like purple crystals. Suking's face was even more delighted. Be careful, Liu Niang. Don't run around. Swish. As soon as she finished speaking, her tall and pretty figure flew into the air like a phantom, and in the blink of an eye she was on top of the tree. She drew her sword out of its sheath, the sword light flashed, and she peeled off the purple crystal substance, and then carefully examined it. After confirming that it was correct, she put it into the storage bag. This purple cloud spirit is a strange plant that lives in this spiritual environment. It will quickly dissipate within half a month after leaving the living environment. Otherwise, it can be stored more at one time. It saves the trouble of coming to this demon swamp every time. Suking thought to himself, and then turned around and flew back. Okay, let's go. Let's go back. Suking returned to the team and smiled. We are going home now. Yeah, let's go home. Liu Niang pouted her red lips and was about to protest, but when she saw Suking's stern eyes, she immediately changed her words. The group turned around and walked back. Because they had just walked through, their expressions were much more relaxed. Suking was even more happy. He got the spiritual objects he needed, completed this experience, and returned to the sect to get many rewards. Sudang's face was calm. It seems that there is no hope of killing this Peng Yao Zuansheng this time. He felt a little disappointed. Such monsters would be a disaster if they survived for one day. A vibration suddenly came from Sudang's Dantian. Monster warning, or a big monster. Boom. Suking and his group, who were walking forward, suddenly felt a vibration coming from the ground. Their faces changed immediately, and they looked around. In front of them, a huge monster with graceful steps, nearly 10 stories high, was walking slowly. The monster had colorful patterned fur all over its body. It had a pair of lantern-like red eyes, and 4 hooves stepped on the ground, and the soil on the ground sank into a deep pit. Tiger monster? And it's a tiger monster in the Jindan realm. Suking and others all changed their faces. Such a big monster is simply not something that human power can contend with. Only Suking can fight it. Roar. Another roar came from behind. Everyone looked back with pale faces, only to see that a huge wolf-shaped monster as big as a building and with a black body appeared behind them. The monster was surrounded by black fog, and the black fog rolled. Wow. The huge body disappeared and turned into a tall man wearing a black cloak and armor. TSK, it's a human, a cultivator, and a beauty. Brother Tiger, you and I were just going to Zuansheng for a small gathering, but we didn't expect to gain so much. The tall man transformed by the wolf demon laughed, and the laughter was cold and resounding throughout the deep forest. There is a tiger in front and a wolf behind. The many guards below, including Suking and Liu Niang, were so cold that their faces turned pale as paper. Big trouble. Only Sudang looked normal, and his eyes were excited. Zuansheng? Chapter 121 Looking for Zuansheng. Thanks to Pio Mutao for the 2000 starting coins, and thank you for your monthly votes. Thank you. We just have to find a way to lure out Peng Yao Zuansheng, Sudangsen said, and he couldn't let these people be in danger. Wow. At this time, billowing yellow smoke swept past, and the huge tiger monster also turned into a human form, floating in the air, nearly 3 feet tall, with a tiger head that was ferocious and terrifying, looking greedily at Suking and Liu Niang. Beauty, a rare beauty, and a cultivator. Saliva was flowing from the corners of its ferocious mouth. Monster. Suking stared at the tiger monster with cold eyes. Liu Niang was also fearless, staring at the 2 big monsters. TSK, you are not afraid of us. You have personality, I like it. The smile on the wolf monster's face gradually disappeared and was gradually replaced by coldness. Those humble humans, do you want to commit suicide by yourselves? Or do you want me to bite your throats off personally? Monster, die. Swish. A fiery red silk suddenly rose up, and the strong spiritual power fluctuated, rushing straight towards the wolf demon like a fire cloud. Snap. But the wolf demon just waved his claws, and a burst of black light flashed, and immediately slapped the red silk back. Liu Niang's pretty face changed slightly, and she tried to control the magic weapon, which stabilized the red silk. Good magic weapon, it's mine too. The wolf demon looked at the red silk with excitement and satisfaction. It could withstand its claws without breaking. This red silk magic weapon is extraordinary. You are dreaming. Qin Liuniang also made a nauseous and vomiting expression at the wolf demon. Su Dong next to him frowned slightly. At this moment, the strength of the enemy and us is somewhat incomparable. This wolf demon and tiger demon are both top level giant and demons, and their bodies are so huge that they can be seen from the demon swamp. Their strength should not be underestimated. On their side, on the surface, only Suking is a top level giant and cultivator. Qin Liuniang is only in the condensation key stage, and the others are ordinary warriors. This is a big trouble. Suking, with a cold expression, felt a little depressed. If it were somewhere else, we could ask for help and wait for assistance, but in this demon swamp, we can only fight hard. Fairy Suking, what should we do? That's a big monster. Didn't you see its true form just now? One of them is as big as a small mountain. If he strikes us with his claws, we will all be turned into meat paste. The whole team began to panic. Qin Liuniang bit her lips tightly, looked at the wolf monsters and tiger monsters in front and behind, looked at the mortal guards beside her, and Su Dong, and whispered to Suking beside her, Sister Su, you and I will do our best to entangle these two monsters and let them escape. Suking looked back, glanced at the panicked faces of the crowd, shook her head and said, no, you go with them, I will hold these two monsters. No, I want to go with Sister Su. Stupid. You are only in the condensation stage. If you go up, you will be a waste. Instead, you will hinder me from performing Taoism. Suking said in a low voice. Qin Liuniang was silent. Indeed, she couldn't even break the monster's fur when she went up. Are you trying to come up with a countermeasure by voice transmission? The wolf demon couldn't help but sneer, and then stuck out his scarlet tongue. A pair of sinister eyes swept over the warriors in the team, and said gloomily, Brother Tiger, how about we eat 2 plates of appetizers first? No problem. The tiger demon also fixed his eyes on Su Dong in the crowd. The human youth looked delicious too. The two demons were about to take action. Choke. A loud sword sound suddenly sounded. The long sword in Suking's hand suddenly came out of the sheath, and flew into the sky. Oh. You dare to take action? Want to protect these mortals? The tiger demon smiled. Don't worry, beauty, we won't hurt you. I can't bear it. The wolf demon also smiled. But since you want to take action, then the two of us brothers will play with the beauty. I'm coming. The two demons suddenly turned into two phantoms and suddenly pounced on Suking below. Su Dong stood nearby, frowning as he watched the flying monsters. He killed the two monsters with a single blow, but his target was Zuansheng. There were not many chances to kill Peng Yao Zuansheng. 9 heavens thunder sky. Listen to my command. The sword in Suking's hand shone fiercely. Like a flying rainbow, it suddenly soared into the sky. In the sword light, the azure arc flickered like a snake, entwining with chilling fluctuations. The lightning flashed, and the clouds in the sky seemed to darken at this moment. The rolling thunder was born suddenly, all gathered at the tip of the long sword above Suking's head. At this moment, this soft-looking woman seemed to have turned into the god of thunder. Thunder sword. Suking shouted fiercely. He pinched the magic formula with his hand, controlled the magic sword, and chopped straight at the two monsters that were rushing in front of him. Haha, magic sword. This beauty has some tricks. The two monsters laughed wildly, not afraid at all. If they were ordinary giant monsters, they might still care, but they were strong monsters, and were not afraid at all. But in the thunderbolts, there were 2 golden arcs mixed in. They were so inconspicuous that even Suking, who was performing the sword technique, didn't notice them. They merged with the ordinary arcs, and instantly fell on the tall bodies of the two monsters. This book was recently updated on #@. Update. Snap. Suddenly, the shoulders and chests of the two monsters that flew over suddenly exploded. Ah! The two monsters screamed in pain at the same time, and blood sprayed on them. Their ferocious eyes were full of fear. The two monsters quickly retreated back into the air. They looked at Suking, who was manipulating the magic sword, in fear. This female cultivator, what a terrible sword technique. We can't fight hard. If we use force, I'm afraid one of our brothers will die under her sword. The two monsters panicked immediately. An arc of electricity shattered their monster bodies. A few more swords. Wouldn't they die? Not worth it. Retreat. The two monsters didn't even pause, turned around and left, fearing that Suking would give them another sword. Seeing the two monsters who were so aggressive before, their skin and flesh were torn apart by Suking's sword in an instant, and they almost died, and turned around and fled. Whether it was Qin Liu Niang or the many warriors and guards, they were all surprised and then happy. They looked at Suking with admiration. "Sister Su, you are so powerful." The two monsters left, and they were scared away by Fairy Su's sword. Fairy Su's Taoism is invincible, and I have finally seen it today. After surviving the disaster, everyone was very excited. Qin Liu Niang even rushed over and grabbed Suking's arm. "Sister Su, you are too strong. That is a giant and monster. Two of them attacked together, and you seriously injured them with one sword." Qin Liu Niang blinked her eyes and looked at Suking as if she was looking at a monster. "Honestly, Sister Su, are you about to break through the nascent soul realm?" Suking was confused. She didn't understand either. It was just a normal sword fight. She was determined to move forward and slashed with a sword, but how did the power of the sword fight suddenly become so strong? Could it be that my state of mind has affected my sword skills? She wondered. But I can only study it later. Let's not talk too much. Let's go quickly. Those two monsters will never give up. This is the demon swamp. There are countless monsters. I'm afraid that more monsters will come soon. Suking was still very calm and said, "Yes, let's go quickly. Can't stay." A group of people were frightened by the monster just now. They were not relaxed at all and hurried on their way. Qin Liu Niang was also afraid. She didn't want to be a snack for the monster. The tiger monster and the wolf monster fled dozens of miles in one breath and fled into the depths of the demon swamp Kibus and then stopped. It's really weird. A human female cultivator who has reached the Dan stage has such a strong sword skills. It may also be that there is something wrong with the magic sword in her hand. The wolf monster's face twitched, and he looked down at the monster body with blood and flesh rolling and slowly healing. That sword was really powerful. However, no matter how powerful she is only one person and one sword. She wants to get out of our demon swamp. The tiger monster smiled coldly. "Let's go find Zuansheng. Zuansheng is best at speed and is good at binding and confining. As long as we capture that female cultivator, we can't eat meat, but can we have soup?" The wolf demon nodded immediately after hearing this. "Yes, find Zuansheng." The two demons flew directly into the depths of the demon forest. Chapter 122 Good luck. In a huge forest dozens of miles away from Kibus, the trees in this forest are different from the ancient trees in other places in the demonic marsh. The trees in this forest are bigger and taller. The tallest one is like a mountain that pierces the sky. The tree is bronze and has an extremely hard texture. On the huge branch at the top of this towering tree, it is called a branch, but because it is too huge, it is like a huge platform extending out. On the platform, there is a palace built purely with trees. There are many people in the palace, countless fine wines and delicacies, and even a lot of property. They are scattered all over the palace, but no monster dares to touch it. This is the nest of Peng Yao Zuansheng. At this moment, Peng Yao Zuansheng is meeting guests in the palace. In the palace, Peng Yao Zuansheng wears a silver crown, which is shining and shining with strange light. He wears a silver white robe. He turns into a human form, with a handsome face and extremely sharp eyes. It is intimidating, and dare not look directly at it. In front of him, a man in black armor is sitting upright. A middle-aged man with a red gem on his forehead sat there, his aura far superior to Peng Yao Zuansheng, but he smiled at Zuansheng. "Zuansheng, I'm not being picky. The female cultivator you sold to me last time was too fragile. I used a little force. She died." The middle-aged man said innocently. Peng Yao Zuansheng raised his eyelids and looked at him unhappily, saying, "Helio, you are also a Yuanying great demon. Moving your fingers is not something that ordinary cultivators can bear. That female cultivator is only at the condensation key level. How can she withstand your tossing?" "I know, but I have no choice. So, I would like to ask you to catch a giant and female cultivator for me, with an average appearance. This is the deposit. You take it first." The crane demon took out a storage bag and threw it to Peng Yao Zuansheng from a distance. Peng Yao Zuansheng took it and glanced at one of them. Oh, a dead leaf of enlightenment. Not bad. I'm preparing to break through the shackles of the nascent soul recently, and this dead leaf of enlightenment is just right for me. He was very satisfied. That's right. After all, it's a 7th grade spiritual essence, and it's not easy to get. The nascent soul crane monster smiled and nodded. Monsters have long lifespans, have achieved success in cultivation, and have a variety of temperaments. Some are obsessed with cultivation, while others are immersed in pleasure and eating. This crane monster is extremely lustful, and likes to play with human female cultivators the most. There are at least 80 female cultivators who died in his hands. Most of them were captured by Peng Yao Zuansheng for him. But it's not easy to capture a female cultivator who has reached the Jin stage. Zuansheng shook his head. At this time, a servant walked into the hall. Report to the great sage. The two monsters, the golden tiger and the black wolf, want to see you. Didn't these two brothers just leave from me? Why are they here again? Peng Yao Zuansheng muttered, and then waved his hand and said, let them in. After a while, the tiger monster and the wolf monster hurried in, with blood on their bodies. Hey, you two, how did this happen? Peng Yao Zuansheng smiled and gloated. Yuan Crane Yao, however, was so high and mighty that he didn't even look at the tiger demon and the wolf demon. The tiger demon and the wolf demon saluted the crane demon first. Then he looked at Zuansheng. Zuansheng, my two brothers just left you and ran into a human team incubus. There are two stunning female cultivators in this human team. One of them is only in the late stage of condensation, and the other is at the top of the Jin stage. Her sword skills are extraordinary. My brothers took action and suffered some losses, so we came to you. The tiger demon said directly. When he said this, Zuansheng immediately became interested. He was just thinking about where to catch the giant female cultivator, and now she is delivered to his door. The middle-aged man of the Yuan crane demon was more interested than him. The top giant female cultivator? Where is it? Take me there quickly. He stood up and turned into a stream of light and landed beside the tiger and wolf demons, shouting, there is another female cultivator, and we can't let her go either. Zuansheng also stood up. They should have left by now, but with the mortals in the team, they should not have left the demon swamp. The wolf demon said, haha, this is a great gift from God. The middle-aged crane demon laughed. The Yuan aura spread out, and the tiger and wolf demons and the Peng demon Zuansheng in the palace all changed color. Let's go, Zuansheng, follow me to get my goods. No problem. Peng demon Zuansheng didn't think much about it. He had dealt with too many monk teams that the tiger and wolf demons couldn't do anything to. Boom. A towering rock, with wings spread out for hundreds of meters, covered the sky and the sun, and flew out of the big tree palace. The crane demon, tiger demon and wolf demon stood on the back of the huge rock. The rock is the leader of the flying monsters. It is naturally good at flying with the wind. According to rumors, the top rock can fly 108,000 miles with its wings spread, and 90,000 miles with its wings spread up. Although Zuansheng is only a Dan rock, its flying speed is still very fast. Boom. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in the Kibuse area, swooping down like a cloud hanging from the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they were dozens of miles away. When the huge Peng bird appeared in the sky, Suking's team, who were rushing through the forest, suddenly felt a huge shadow in the sky. Everyone, including Sudong, looked up. It blocked out the sky. Is that the Peng bird? Suking's face suddenly changed. In the blink of an eye, the huge monster that blocked out the sky and the sun was already in front of them. Boom. The Peng bird disappeared, and 4 figures fell. The 4 figures, not to mention the tiger and wolf monsters, a middle-aged man in black armor, with a ruby on his forehead and a terrifying aura, and a handsome young man in a silver crown, wearing a silver robe and a fierce momentum. The 4 monsters were like 4 gods of death. Peng monster, Zuansheng, Yuan monster. Suking's face turned pale as paper in an instant. It's over. Qin Liuniang was also desperate. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Although she had little experience, she had heard of many famous monsters by her grandmother's side. For example, once, her grandmother threatened her that, if she didn't obey, she would let Zuansheng capture her. Peng Yao Zuansheng was famous for capturing humans and immortals. How did she meet him? Exclamation mark. Big monster. Terrible big monster. 2 more big monsters. What should we do? The ordinary warriors in the team panicked and were extremely terrified. These monsters, if left outside, would also be terrifying monsters. Suking took a step forward. Monsters, let my sister and the others go. I will let you do whatever you want. She stood up and shouted with a determined look. There was no way to escape as long as Qin Liuniang's life could be saved. No. Sister Su. Qin Liuniang burst into tears and rushed to Suking's side. If we are going to die, let us die together. Desperate, the whole small team fell into despair when facing such monsters. They dared not move at all, waiting to be slaughtered. TSK, what a deep sisterly love. Don't worry, none of you will die. Follow me, I will take good care of you. The middle-aged crane demon smiled and took a step forward, drool dripping down his face. Looking at Suking and Qin Liuniang, his body was trembling. Top notch, really top notch. I haven't met such a top notch woman in so many years. His greedy eyes shuttled back and forth between Suking and Qin Liuniang. Spare my life, don't kill me. Many guards in the team knelt down and begged for mercy. Sukingdu's palms trembled slightly and he raised the long sword in his hand. If he fell into the hands of these monsters and was humiliated, he might as well commit suicide. What good luck. Sudong suddenly laughed in the crowd. He shook his head and walked out slowly, his face full of happy smiles. I admire my own luck. Originally, I just tried my luck and let the tiger and wolf monsters go back, but I didn't expect that I really found this Peng demon Zuansheng. I searched everywhere for it, but it came without any effort. Now that it's here, let's die. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Take Action. Since they are chasing after him, it means that the opportunity that Sudong has been waiting for a long time has come. Boom. The 4 monsters were originally looking at Suking and Qin Liuniang with a cold smile. Among them, the tiger monster and the wolf monster looked at Sudong with disdain and sneered. The black light in their hands flashed, and they were ready to attack. At this moment, a golden knife light flashed. The faces of the 4 monsters suddenly showed fear at the same time. The golden knife light was swung out from the hands of the young man in front of them, and the speed was so fast that phantoms appeared in the air. The sharp knife light that seemed to be like mountains and ridges burst out instantly. Not good. Among the 4 monsters, including the Yuanying crane monster wearing black armor, as a Yuanying stage monster, they all opened their eyes in fear at this moment. This knife light appeared too fast, too condensed, and too terrifying. This is not the Taoism of immortal cultivators, this is the knife method. While being terrified, only he could react and activate the armor to resist. But the knife light was too fast, and 4 knife lights slashed at the 4 monsters at the same time. Sudong's eyes were deep and cold, and he focused on Peng Yao Zuansheng. Swish, the golden blade light shone. It was both terrifying and beautiful, and contained an unstoppable sharp momentum. Suking, Qin Liuniang, and many guards who saw the blade light nearby only felt that the blade light was like a beautiful golden crescent moon, while the 4 monsters facing the blade light only felt the cold fear of the god of death, and they had no time to react. Puff puff puff. 4 blade lights simultaneously and accurately slashed across the necks of the 4 monsters. In an instant, the 4 monster heads suddenly soared into the sky, and the head of Peng Yao Zuansheng flew the highest. Blood sprayed and turned into a huge Peng Yao head in the air. This great monster, that has been causing trouble for hundreds of years, and kidnapped countless humans, finally died today. It's so scary. Run. Suddenly, the headless Yuanying crane monster wearing black armor moved again. It was a Yuanying monster. It would not die unless the Yuanying was destroyed. At this moment, it flew into the sky with its headless body. I have the armor of the commander of the heavenly demon army. He can't kill me. The crane demon hurriedly flew away. Since you are here, don't leave. A voice like the god of death sounded, and Sudong drew out a long sword with 3 colors of blue, black, and red. His figure turned into lightning and instantly appeared behind the crane demon. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The crane demon's Yuanying screamed in fear, but a beautiful knife light had already lit up and chopped in along the gap of the black armor. Like cutting tofu, the knife light instantly split the crane demon's body and armor in half. The crane demon's Yuanying didn't have time to leave the body and fly away, and was directly split in half by the knife light and dissipated directly. They were all terrified before they died. Swish. The knife light dissipated. Sudong put away the broken tooth knife in his hand. Now the broken tooth knife has experienced the sacrifice of many magic weapons and the high-level sharpening gas. Its sharpness is so sharp that ordinary magic weapons can't resist it at all. Silence. In less than a moment, the 4 monsters, who were originally so ferocious, all died. Only the Yuanying monster had a chance to escape, but the giant monster like Peng Yao didn't even have time to escape. Suking, Qin Liuniang, and the many guards who were still kneeling on the ground begging for mercy were all stunned, staring blankly at the back of the young man in front of them. Boom. A roar sounded, and the bodies of the 3 monsters turned into their original bodies and fell to the ground. The monster bodies were all huge, much larger than the monsters outside. The movement woke them up. One by one, they realized what happened. Dead. 4 monsters died in an instant. Peng Yao Zuansheng is dead. A person's reputation is like a tree's shadow, and the same is true for monsters. Monsters with prominent reputations are also more feared. But that big monster died today. Killed by a knife. Yes, it was Sudong. He attacked and killed him with 1 sword. Shut up, you should call him Master Su. The guards stood up from the ground and looked at the back of the young man in front of them with admiration. They were completely impressed. That sword light. They were also warriors, but they had never thought that warriors could be so strong. I'm so stupid. When I dealt with the tiger and wolf monsters before, I shattered their monster bodies with 1 sword. That's not how powerful my sword skills are. Suking also reacted, staring blankly at the back in front of him. It's because he attacked secretly and killed a Yuanying realm monster with 1 sword. He is also a warrior. Martial honor? Or martial saint? There is not a martial saint in the entire Jin Dynasty. In short, he is a powerful super strong man. Qin Liuniang blinked her bright eyes and looked at Sudong. Her eyes were fiery. The person I saved is so strong. She murmured. Does he need you to save him? That is. Suking was speechless. What do you mean they saved him? Do he still need them to save him? Now she understood why there was no monster in Kibyus, which was supposed to be a place where monsters appeared. She was afraid that the senior had dealt with it before, so they had a smooth journey. Why not? Even the most powerful people have their naps, and we just saved him. Qin Liuniang firmly believed that she was Sudong's savior. As she said that, she walked towards Sudong. After Sudong killed the 4 monsters, he took the monster pills of 3 monsters. Among them, the monster pill of Peng Yao Zuansheng was even bigger than that of the old Black Wind monster. Such a big monster in the Demon Lake was indeed blessed by nature. He also looted the storage bags of the 4 monsters. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. This crane monster is still in the nascent soul realm. How can he be so poor, without magic weapons, no property, only some women's clothes? Sudong flipped through the crane monster's storage bag and was speechless. How could he know that this crane monster was obsessed with pleasure and did not work hard to practice or accumulate treasures? If there were treasures, he would exchange them for beauties. Poor as hell. Well, the 2 giant monsters have average wealth. But this Peng Yao Zuansheng is the richest, with extraordinary wealth, 2 magic weapons, and a treasured robe. Hey, there is also a spiritual essence. Sudong's eyes lit up immediately. When he checked, the spiritual essence was a small yellow leaf, but it was the withered yellow leaf that exuded a rich spiritual energy, which made people intoxicated. Let me think, a leaf-shaped spiritual essence. Sudong recalled the files on spiritual essences he had read. Ah, it's a 7th grade spiritual essence enlightenment withered leaf. A smile suddenly appeared on his face. This time, killing this Peng Yao Zuansheng, the harvest is not small. Brother Su, you are a liar. An excited voice sounded. Sudong turned his head. He saw Qin Liuniang, who was holding up her little fist with admiration in her eyes. The latter pouted her lips and said angrily, "You are so powerful, why didn't you say it earlier?" "I said it earlier." Sudong couldn't help but smile and made an innocent expression on his face. "Huh? When did you say?" Qin Liuniang frowned. "You forgot. I said that I'm good at martial arts, and I'm also good at swordsmanship and palm techniques." Sudong smiled. The people who heard it not far away, the many guards lowered their heads in shame, and Suking was speechless. Yes, Sudong did say that his martial arts were not bad, but is it good? A big demon in the nascent soul realm, who can be killed at will. Good at swordsmanship? That swordsmanship is too strong. Qin Liuniang had nothing to say, but she thought in her heart, this is called good martial arts? Do you think I'm a fool? My sister Su is powerful enough, a top-notch cultivator in the Jinden stage. But in front of brother Su, I'm afraid she can't survive a single move. The warrior is so strong. My brother Su must have an extraordinary origin. No, I have to observe him carefully. Who knows, I can introduce him to my sisters. I don't care. No matter how powerful you are, I'm your savior. You must remember it. Qin Liuniang said. Sudong couldn't help laughing. Suking watched from the side, also with a smile on his face, naturally happy that he had survived a disaster, but when he looked at the young man, a strange meaning flashed in his eyes. A moment later, outside the demonic swamp, in the sky, 3 figures flew side by side. Qin Liuniang controlled the red silk, Suking stepped on the long sword, and Sudong was the most casual, controlling his body naturally. Chapter 124 Hell is empty. Thanks to Yunhei for the 3100 starting coins, Danqi is going to buy an ice cream. After walking out of the demon swamp, Sudong wanted to leave alone, but Suking happened to be going back to Qingshan Sword Sect. Qingshan Sword Sect is a large sect in Hangzhou. There are immortals who have reached the state of transformation in the sect. It is also a powerful local force. The Jin Dynasty court also treated this sect with great courtesy. Hangzhou is located in the south of Qingzhou. Going back from the demon swamp, it happens to pass by Qingzhou. Several people went together. Sudong was in a good mood, because he was able to kill Peng Yao Zuansheng this time. That was a big monster, that even immortals who had reached the state of transformation had a hard time killing. It was because he was a warrior, that Peng Yao Zuansheng was careless. It was also a coincidence, that Suking and his group happened to be baits. The Peng Yao really took the bait. Once this big monster died, the lives of many people around him would be peaceful again. Imagine seeing the true form of the Peng monster. When its wings spread, it is really a nightmare for ordinary people. Wow, is that the Jin River? It's really spectacular. Flying in the sky, Qin Liuniang looked at the scene below and smiled happily. Now that winter is just around the corner, the fields below are all golden, and the rivers are rushing in them. It is indeed spectacular. You are used to the beautiful scenery of Qingshan Sword Sect. Now that you come down the mountain, you think everywhere is good. Suking glanced at Qin Liuniang unhappily, and looked at the scene below. How could such a mundane scene compare to the sacred place of her Qingshan Sword Sect? The place where the immortals stay is naturally surrounded by clouds and mist like an immortal palace. The mundane has its own advantages, and it has more fireworks. If there are no monsters to cause trouble, it would be even better. Sudong smiled. He also looked down, with wisps of smoke and endless mountains and rivers. This is the home of mankind. Suking turned his head and looked at Sudong when he heard the words. Then he turned back. I joined the sect when I was young and grew up under the care of my master. I don't know much about life in this world, but I heard that there are many monsters that cause trouble. Many people are displaced, and many people die. This kind of life scene is something she dare not imagine. It would be great if there were no monsters in this world. Suking said softly. There are good monsters, but there are more bad monsters. Qin Liuniang pouted. Yes, just like people, there are good people and bad people. Bad people should be killed, and bad monsters should also be killed. Sudong smiled, with strong confidence in his smile. He didn't want to kill all the monsters in the world, he just wanted to kill all the injustice in front of him, and kill all the evil monsters and people. There is a saying, that hell is empty, and demons are in the world. There are many injustices in this world, but there are too few people who eradicate these injustices. Too many people choose to ignore and choose to be indifferent. Some people want to manage, but they don't have the strength, so they can only protect themselves. Sudong has the strength, so he naturally feels that he should try his best to manage. Brother Su is right. Suking nodded silently. Qin Liuniang looked up at her sister Su with a suspicious look. Her sister was the most outstanding disciple of the younger generation of Qingshan sword sect. She was very powerful in Taoism and had entered the Jindan realm at a young age. She rarely obeyed others. The three of them chatted. In a mountain field below, dozens of figures shuttled through the forest, each of them controlling a magic weapon. There was a spiritual aura on their bodies. Look carefully, that Lin Jin dared to kill his fellow disciples and steal the treasure. He really deserves to be killed. Elder Zhao has ordered. Capture this Lin Jin alive. After catching him, take him back and extract his soul and let him die in torture. This Lin Jin colluded with monsters and deserved to die. Among these immortal cultivators, 3 were at the Jindan level and the rest were at the condensation key level, but they could also control magic weapons to fly. They flew while transmitting voices. Their eyes scanned everywhere. Look, there is a large courtyard below. Let's go and take a rest. The group of immortal cultivators had good eyesight. When they saw a large courtyard, they flew directly into it. Immortal cultivators. The servants and the master in the house saw dozens of figures descending from the sky, and these figures were full of spiritual energy. Each of them was extraordinary and bowed immediately. It is a blessing for my NIU family to have immortal cultivators visit. Let's prepare a banquet. The master hurriedly went to greet the servants, to prepare wine to welcome them. In the eyes of ordinary people, immortal cultivators are naturally superior to others and are highly respected. These dozens of immortal cultivators were also, like they were in their own home, very casual, high above, resting and tidying up. The NIU family has a daughter, who is 17 years old this year. She is embroidering at the window, and there is a maid of the same age beside her. What a beautiful woman. Suddenly a figure saw the woman, and his eyes showed a lustful look. He was attracted at once. What a beautiful woman. Haha, I didn't expect that there are such women in this mountain village. This woman, I want her. The 2 immortal cultivators laughed obscenely, and they were bold and daring, and they were used to being free. Go directly to the room of the house. In the sky, Sudong and the other 2 were flying. Suddenly, Sudong paused. The Qian compass in the Dantian suddenly opened, vibrating and warning, pointing downward. Unfair things? This book has been updated recently in @ Update. Sudong did not hesitate at all and directly changed direction and flew downward. Brother Su. Suking and Qin Liuniang were suddenly stunned, not knowing why Sudong suddenly flew downward. But the 3 of them had also experienced hardships, and now they were together, so they naturally followed. They dived all the way to a mountain village below. Immortal cultivator? Sudong, Qin Liuniang and Suking, who followed closely behind, all saw the figure of an immortal cultivator in a courtyard. At this moment in the NIU family courtyard, the owner, Mrs. NIU, was holding a young girl in her arms. The girl had a beautiful face, but at this moment she was full of panic, her hands tightly grasping her collar, looking at the dozens of figures in front of her in horror. You are a bunch of villains. You are not immortal cultivators. I treated you kindly, but you want to humiliate my daughter. You are beasts. They also killed Lingling. The terrified woman sobbed, pointing at the ugly man in front of her. Many servants were excited. Old Huang, how did it happen? How did it become like this? The leading Jindan immortal cultivator asked the man. How could I know that this woman was so fierce, and that little maid almost bit off my hand? I slapped her to death with a palm. The man shook his head and said indignantly in a low voice. Waste. The leading immortal cultivator shook his head. He threw 100 taels of silver notes in front of Master NIU. It's just that a maid died. This money is your compensation. Let's go. He directly called many companions to leave. You evil people, you want to get away with it after paying for killing people. I'll remember you. Just now you said that you are cultivators of the Xixian sect. I will definitely report to the court, and the court will punish you. Master NIU tore up the 100 liang silver note, pointed at the backs of the group of cultivators and shouted angrily. Upon hearing this, the leading cultivator paused and turned around abruptly. A cold light flashed in his cold eyes. Old man, you are looking for death. A group of more than 10 cultivators turned their heads, with murderous intent on their faces. You. Master NIU's body trembled. He looked at these cultivators angrily. The entire NIU family, including Miss NIU who was curled up in Mrs. NIU's arms, burst into tears. Is there no law in this world? Do cultivators not have to pay for their lives when they kill people? This scene happened to be seen by Sudong and the other two who fell from the sky. Chapter 125 Sixian Gate. Thanks to Xiaoxiaoshishin, Xiaoyokyozu, and Heiang for the rewards. Thank you all for your monthly tickets. Beast. Qin Liu Niang glared at the many cultivators below and spoke angrily. I have seen cultivators causing trouble in the past, but this is the first time I have seen such a ruffian. Suking also frowned. Living in someone else's house, not only is he not grateful, but he also humiliates the girl and kills the maid. It is really despicable. They said before, monsters should be killed, and these bad guys deserve to be killed even more than monsters. While the two of them were still talking, Sudong had already stretched out his hand. Whoosh! A knife light condensed from the true essence flashed in the air like a crescent moon. It fell directly on the legs of the cultivator named Liu Huang below. With a puff, blood splashed, and the knife light penetrated the latter's knees. Liu Huang was immediately terrified, but then his legs softened, and he knelt on the ground with a plop. The blood flowed along his legs, and dyed the ground red. Who? The leading immortal cultivator was also shocked and looked up at the sudden attack. Sudong and the other two landed in front of Master NIU. Immortal cultivator? What a beautiful woman. The eyes of the dozen people were all on Suking and Qin Liu Niang, ignoring Sudong. What are you looking at, a bunch of beasts? Qin Liu Niang glared at the group of people. I'm Beifang Khan from the Sixian sect. I haven't asked the two fairies yet. The leading immortal cultivator smiled and clasped his fists. They were high and mighty to the mortals, but they were very respectful to the fairies, who were also immortal cultivators, and looked so extraordinary. But before he finished speaking, Sudong had already frowned and looked at the group of people. The luck compass in his mobile phone opened, and dozens of figures appeared in front of him. The dozens of figures were all wrapped in thick black light. Some of them, like Liu Huang, whose legs he had cut off before, were even more sinful and hideous. This is not a simple sin of oppressing the good. I'm afraid that, if I don't meet them today, the NIU family will be slaughtered by this group of people. These scums. Sudong had murderous intent in his eyes. Whoosh. Sudong waved his hand casually. The powerful true essence immediately turned into golden sword energy, interlaced in the air, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of these many cultivators. Puff puff puff. Slashing all the way. Most of the cultivators lost an arm. The leader, Beifang Kong, was still talking when his head flew up, his face full of fear. Old Huang, who was kneeling on the ground with hatred on his face, regretted it only after his head flew up. Ah. Many cultivators with broken arms cried out in pain, but they all looked at the young man in front of them in fear. They were wrong. They originally thought that among the three people, the two cultivator women were terrible, but in fact, the most terrible one was this man. Warriors are so terrible! Exclamation mark. In the blink of an eye, they died or were disabled. Go away. If you do evil again, your fate will be the same as this. Sudong shouted coldly. The living immortal cultivators did not even dare to collect the corpses of their fellow disciples, and turned around and left. Seeing this, the master of the NIU family and his family members immediately knelt down excitedly, and kowtowed to Sudong. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid my whole family would be in danger. For Sudong, this was a trivial matter, but for them, it was their lives. Revenge. Ling Ling, did you see that? The beast who bullied you was killed. Miss NIU murmured. Tears slid down her cheeks. Revenge was taken, but the dead will never come back. Sudong stood with his hands behind his back. He looked coldly at the immortal cultivators, who left in a hurry. Those people didn't even dare to use the wind control technique. These people are all evil people. I will punish them. I'm afraid that they are still dissatisfied. When they go back, they may even seek revenge from their fellow disciples. Sudong's eyes were cold. I will wait here and see if they dare to come. Hearing this, Suking and Qin Liuniang nodded slightly. When Master Niu heard this, he was even more grateful. This lord really cares about them. Suking stepped forward and took a token from the corpse of the leading cultivator. On it was engraved a pair of Sixian characters. The Sixian sect is located between the territory of the Jin Dynasty and the territory of the Wei Dynasty. It is a sect of cultivators established in a lawless area. They usually act both righteous and evil, but they never dare to enter the Jin Dynasty and act arrogantly. Why are they so arrogant this time? She wondered. Because there are no laws and constraints in the border between the two countries, it is naturally very chaotic. And since the Jin Dynasty had cultivators like Li Xiangai, the surrounding forces, whether they are monsters or evil sects, have been very low-key. Sudong also nodded. The Liuan sect is more than 1,000 miles away from here. I'm afraid there are other things. It's a long way, and there won't be so many fellow disciples to train with. This book has been updated recently in .. Update. Master Niu stepped forward and said, "Sir, I heard them talking earlier. It seems that they are looking for someone." Looking for someone. Sudong and the other two suddenly realized. And a few miles away from this manor, in a mountain forest, a man and a woman carefully hid in the dense branches of a big tree. There happened to be a huge bird's nest, and the two huddled in the nest. The man's face was pale, and he held a long sword tightly in his hand. There was a faint spiritual power flowing on the long sword, but at this moment the whole sword was dim, as if it would break at any time. There was also blood on his chest. Next to him was a delicate woman with a pretty face. At this time, her face was also as pale as paper. If you look closely, you will find that the ears of this woman are covered with a layer of fine and dense white fluff. The charming eyes of this woman looked at the man next to her, and her eyes were full of tenderness. "I'm sorry, Lin Lang, I'm a burden to you." The woman sighed softly. "Don't blame you. Zayok has always disliked me. This time, I experienced Lin Lang Mountain, and found the Mahayana cave, learned Taoism, and got treasures. That's why he couldn't help but kill me." The man shook his head and said, "If it weren't for you, Xiao Bei, saving me, I'm afraid I would really die. I'll let it go. What if it's a monster or a human? If you like each other, you should be together. I feel even more guilty for causing you, Xiao Bei, to hide here with me. No, Lin Lang, this is the happiest day of my life." The girl Xiao Bei's eyes were full of tenderness. "They all say that I colluded with monsters. Humph. A bunch of scum. They are more terrible than monsters, and deserve to be killed." Lin Jin gritted his teeth. On his handsome face, there was more calmness. "This time I got the inheritance of Mahayana Immortal. As long as I have time, I will be able to practice successfully. As long as I can get through this period, everything will be fine." Although the Sixian sect is powerful, it can't cover the sky with one hand. If it were the Wei Dynasty, where evil cultivators are everywhere, I would definitely die without a burial place. But this is the Jin Dynasty. I'm fleeing to the Jin Dynasty. In the Jin Dynasty, almost every town has a formation set up by Prime Minister Li, and the court is under the command of Prime Minister Li, so I still have a chance of survival. The Sixian sect didn't dare to be too presumptuous in the Jin Dynasty. As long as he could get into the big county city of the Jin Dynasty, the Sixian sect would have no chance of doing anything to him. At worst, he would directly surrender to the Jin Dynasty court. When Lin Jin was thinking of a countermeasure, the two of them hid in the nest on the tree to rest. Suddenly, through the dense branches of the trees, he saw several figures flying through the sky in a rather embarrassed manner. All of them had broken arms and their breath was unstable. Are they disciples of the Liuan sect? Lin Jin and the girl Xiao Bei beside him were both shocked. But looking at their appearance, they were obviously severely frustrated. They were all seriously injured. Although immortal cultivators can regenerate after losing an arm, that is only for Yuanying cultivators. It is still very difficult for ordinary immortal cultivators. There are no disciples in the Jindan realm. Where is Beifang Kang? Lin Jin watched the pedestrians flying across the sky and quickly going away. Go in that direction. There is a master there. Lin Jin sat up from the bird's nest with a start. His eyes were fixed on the direction of the mountain village several miles away. With a master there, he had a glimmer of hope. The girl beside him also showed a hint of joy. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.